They're going to try 4 wide. We have contact and a huge crash right in the first corner. The car's upside down. Castro-Neves involved. Scott Dixon is involved. The 27 by Conway. Let's go back to the finish line because here's Dario.
Great job.
His first win at
St. Baby, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Oh, wow. That's a tough place to make a pass.
It is Will Power who takes his first step on the 2011 Road to Glory as he wins the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Oh, man.
Power's on the outside.
Not where he needs to be.
He took out his teammate. I can't believe it.
Mike Conway wins his first IZOD IndyCar Series event at the most prestigious street race.
Good job.
The race has been stopped. Red flag. Just too much rain. Conditions too bad to continue this fiasco. And when it comes to racing on the street and road courses, you simply cannot beat power. Will Power wins here at the Itaipava Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Careful of traffic. He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years. No! He hit the wall. Just like Thomas Schaefer. Just like Schaefer. Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
That is unbelievable.
Either off the fourth corner onto the tri-oval, and oh, it's going to be a close battle, but it is Dario Franchitti by 5/100ths of a second. Oh! In the Firestone 10-275Z will start in 28th position. Here he comes, though, off of corner number 4. And Will Power is going to win his first career event on an oval in the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Already going sideways as he's chasing Helio Castroneves. In this situation, the car comes back around, hits the left front.
And here he comes. It'll be his third win of the year to go with his win at
Et voilà, le stream qui va partir, voilà, me revoit à toutes et à tous. Voilà, bah c'est la soirée parfaite, j'ai l'impression. Pour cette 9e manche de la saison 2011 de la IndyCar Series, en direct de l'Iowa Speedway. Donc on nous promet évidemment, ça va être une course extraordinaire. Sauf qu'on ne peut pas la voir, c'est le problème, mais bon.
But I think we have the car actually. The race car was really good.
Great, thank kid.
Guys, and I'm going to show you something here.
Ah, bah, quand même, bonsoir à tous, donc voilà, vous découvrirez le premier grid walk de Robin Miller et Dan Weldon, le double vainqueur des 500 miles d'Indianapolis. Alors, il fait beaucoup plus froid que prévu. Bon, c'est quoi toutes ces pubs là, mais...
Hey, this guy X-Tag landing, he's used to being up front. Tonight he's got his work cut out for him. What do you think?
I think we have a pretty good
Alors,
car.
Alex t'a gagné l'interview.
The car was fairly good in traffic, so feel pretty racy. We'll see after the first stint.
Before you got
Donc
crashed.
on va voir après le premier relais ce qu'il va passer. Alors il faut savoir que Alex Tagani s'est craché avec le poleman Takuma Sato. Alors maintenant on est directement avec Dario Franchitti. C'est un peu n'importe quoi ce grid walk. Comment ça se passe? C'est trop sérieux pour toi, Dan Weldon? Tu sais que t'as pas de boulot évidemment. Je sais pas trop à quoi m'attendre, c'est une course de nuit. Bon, on va savoir si on va pouvoir mettre la voiture. Il y a encore une peinture différente. Alors maintenant avec Sarah Fisher, ça part dans tous les sens.
He was. You know, we were real proud that the Dollar General boys were able to pull it together through last night's session and put him in.
Non, mais donc ils ont fait le meilleur temps, hein, Edgar Peinture dans la 67 pardon. Sarah Fisher, ils ont fait le meilleur temps de la séance de nuit, mais on passe chez Ryan Torrey. Oh là là. Avec sa compagne Becky Gordon, la sœur de Robbie Gordon. Alors voilà, donc Ryan Torrey qui devait être la monnaie un petit peu Dan Weldon, donc ça c'est fait. Alors on a un nouveau sponsor sur la voiture ce week-end, donc on espère faire une bonne course pour eux, pour avoir une relation un peu plus longue. Évidemment merci pour les sous. Alors maintenant on va passer chez Iowa Corn Indy, pardon. Alors, on va essayer de remonter évidemment. Ça va être dur ici, très compétitif. On va essayer d'aller tranquillement quand même au départ. Bon, évidemment, je vais pas vraiment le faire, nous dit Castronnet. Alors, Dan Weldon, qui lui va plutôt vers l'arrière. Alors, Monsieur Roger Penske et Monsieur Randy Bernard, le président de la IndyCar Series à gauche, et Roger Penske capitaine à droite. Alors, donc, normalement, la course est à guichet fermé, c'est exceptionnel. Bon, ça n'a pas de cas, mais c'est
Roger, there's talk of a bit of a rivalry. How are you feeling about this with the Ganassi cars?
Avec Ganassi. Alors je te félicite sur la victoire de 1500, c'est un peu tard, mon cher Roger, quand même, ça fait un mois. Tu sais que t'es prêt dans sa voiture. Bon, une bonne voiture, on va avoir une bonne course. Il faut avoir une voiture qui se comporte bien. Les voitures se comportent bien, mais c'est aujourd'hui que ça va compter. Robin Miller lui maintenant, où est-il? On va le servir maintenant, regardez-moi ça. On se prépare chez New Balance Racing. Et Dan Weldon qui arrive, incroyable, ils sont ensemble, c'est extraordinaire.
Well, did you just notice that Robin had to start at the back of the grid and we got to you? We're expecting you to be strong.
Well, that was a lot of fun. We were expecting to be strong, but I think we look forward to hearing more from Robin throughout the race. And also, Dan Weldon will make his way to the booth. It's great to have
donc Dan Weldon va rejoindre sa place dans la cabine de commentaire. Encore une fois, c'est Dan Weldon qui va être ici. Dan Weldon, avec le Brian Autosport, ils seront l'équipe de développement de la voiture 2012 de la IndyCar Series. C'est un rôle extrêmement important et ça va faire peut-être du Brian Autosport une équipe de pointe l'année prochaine parce qu'ils auront déjà testé le nouveau matériel, le nouveau moteur sur les différents types de circuits qu'on rencontrera à la IndyCar Series l'année prochaine, et donc ça pourra leur permettre d'avoir un véritable avantage dès le début de saison. Brian Harta évidemment fait ça très simplement. Le deal était simple, soit il faisait quelques courses cette année, soit il faisait ce job de développement. C'est sûr pour Dan Weldon et pour tous les fans d'IndyCar, c'est très dur de ne pas avoir Weldon dans la course, mais ça va être pas mal l'année prochaine, et puis ça permet à Dan Weldon d'avoir été chez Disney World cette semaine où il a été carrément il a donné le départ de la parade de Disney World. C'est assez impressionnant. Si vous avez Twitter, vous avez un petit peu sur son compte Twitter, vous avez plusieurs photos de Dan Weldon avec notamment un chapeau piqué magnifique. Donc je vous conseille vivement d'aller là-bas. Donc on est revenu en studio chez nos amis britanniques qui sont debout, hein, aussi 1h46 chez eux, et donc c'est pour ça qu'on n'a pas le même monsieur que d'habitude, évidemment. Ici à la présentation, il a déjà été au lit, le pauvre. Et on rappelle la dernière, c'était une canne qui s'était imposée. On va revenir après, je pense, on se quitte.
Klitschko. Go head-to-head for the WBO, IBF and WBA World Heavyweight titles. Hay versus Klitschko. Next Saturday, Sky Sports HD box office. To order, Sky customers go to sky.com/order box office. See channel 739, press the green button or phone this number.
If you think all vodka is the same, take a sip of our premium Russian vodka and think again. Russian standard. Vodka as it should be.
Ever thought your online casino wasn't taking you seriously? 32 Red have been awarded Best Online Casino by Casino Meister every year since 2003. Don't monkey around with your choice of casino. 32 Red. We're second to none.
We have a situation here. The lift's down. But we're still going up.
You're crazy. It's 25 floors.
There's an old lady up there. She needs this.
Steady up, mate.
To me.
I can't barely there. Steve, mate, I've had it.
Come on. We're going to get through this, and then we'll be down there, sipping a crisp, refreshing Strongbow.
Come on! 24. Ooh, so far.
I knew you guys would pull through.
I always like happy ending.
This is stripy. I wanted plain.
Hello again, welcome back to our coverage of the Iowa Corn 250.
De retour ainsi donc sur la Iowa Speedway et on va revenir avec ce petit clip de la course de 2010, la dernière course à avoir lieu de jour sur ce circuit puisque cette année on va être de nuit avec la dernière victoire de Tony Callanan-Barrett.
Justin Wilson is involved in a crash. There as the onboard. Listen for the impact. Ooh, wow.
That puts you in the seats.
Look at TK.
On the low side.
He's using the overtake, guys. He's using the overtake. It really helps on a short track. This is the first time that the Indy Racing League has used the overtake, and it catapults the 7-Eleven car, Tony Kanaan, into the lead.
Oh, no. And I was almost going to say that we might see our first green flag pit stops for the leaders, but not now. And look at this.
Look who's about to take the lead. Elio Castro-Neves takes the lead. Look at this.
He's got a run.
Here he comes.
Yeah.
He's about 0.7 of a second behind just a moment ago. And look at this. He takes the lead.
He's on the overtake, guys. He used it just the way you need to.
He has gone from the turn 2 wall. The 3 races that he has been here, crashed out, but not today. He's going to victory lane. Tony Kanaan wins the Iowa Corn Indy 250.
Fantastic.
Obviously a popular guy.
Et c'est vrai que Tony Kanaan, bon bah lui, il y a la Iowa Speedway, il a pas eu beaucoup de chance. Le pilote brésilien, il a gagné, vous allez me dire, il a gagné beaucoup de chance. Mais il faut quand même rappeler qu'on vient depuis 2007. En 2007, il s'est craché dans le virage numéro 2. En 2008, il s'est craché dans le virage numéro 2. Et en 2009, il s'est craché dans le virage numéro 2. Donc, on va pas vraiment parler de chance incroyable pour Tony Kanaan, qui est donc le vainqueur en titre ici, et qui s'élancera depuis la 3e place sur la voiture du KV Racing et Technologie Auto. On reviendra sur la gueule du départ un petit peu plus en détail tout à l'heure, mais on peut déjà vous dire que Takuma Sato et Danica Patrick constitueront la première ligne de la grille. Takuma Sato qui s'est craché avec Alex Tagliani hier lors des essais de nuit. Alors pour votre tête à queue, Tony Kanaan à Milwaukee la semaine dernière, si vous n'étiez pas avec nous, on rappelle que Tony Kanaan était bien parti pour une victoire puisque Castro-Neves avait son pneu arrière gauche à plat, donc il était obligé de se raccostendre. Tony Kanaan qui est parti en tête à queue et qui a vu sa course se terminer dans le mur extérieur du virage numéro 4. Mais donc voilà, Sato et Tagani qui sont crashés. Sato, on pensait qu'il allait devoir partir à l'arrière du peloton devant prendre une nouvelle voiture. Ils ont quand même pu la réparer, ce qui fait que Takuma Sato restera quand même avec sa pole position, le premier pilote japonais de l'histoire à avoir effectué une pole position en IZOD IndyCar Series. On a quand même des petites craintes de pluie, il faut quand même le dire. Sur l'Iowa, il y a eu un énorme orage lors de la matinée. On a quand même réussi à nettoyer la piste et à la sécher. On a eu la course de Firestone Indy remportée par Joseph Newgarden un petit peu plus tôt. Et si vous voyez, le run de qualification de Takuma Sato, c'était vendredi, donc hier soir. On va mentir si on compte en dimanche. Et on va écouter Takuma Sato. Alors évidemment, le drame qui est arrivé au Japon, la mort de votre père aussi. Quand vous avez fait la pole, est-ce que c'était beaucoup trop, enfin comment, est-ce que vous étiez trop ému, je vais dire. Ben, j'étais ému évidemment. On a juste prouvé qu'on a travaillé très très fort et que ça a fonctionné. Le team a fait un super boulot. Alors c'est un très très bon timing pour moi d'avoir cette proposition. J'espère juste qu'on aura un bon package pour la course. Danica Patrick, elle s'élancera depuis la seconde place, mais je peux vous dire que Takuma Sato aujourd'hui, il va probablement jouer la victoire, même s'il fait beaucoup plus froid qu'hier. Ça pourrait peut-être changer évidemment les comportements des voitures. Et donc Danica Patrick qui s'élancera en deuxième position, la première fois depuis Nashville en 2008 qu'elle s'est lancée en deuxième place, mais c'était de côté des Iowa 80. En deuxième ligne, Tony Kanaan, comme je vous l'ai dit, et JR, Hildebrand va-t-il réussir à ne pas frapper le mur dans le virage numéro 14, on va le savoir. Will Power et Dario Franchitti seront en troisième ligne, les deux co-leaders du championnat, puisqu'ils ont 271 points chacun. James Hinchcliffe et Ryan Hunter, Mike Conway et Ryan Briscoe en cinquième ligne de la grille, sixième ligne pour Oriol Servia et Justin Wilson. En 7ème ligne, Elio Castroneves et Ed Carpenter. En 8ème ligne, Alex Tagliani et Victor Meira. 9ème ligne pour Marco Andretti et Anna Beatriz. En 10ème ligne, EJ Viso et Graham Rahal. 11ème ligne de la grille pour Charlie Kimball et Alex Lloyd. 12ème ligne pour Scott Dixon, la grosse déception, et James Jacks. En dernière ligne tout seul, Sébastien Saravedra. On devait avoir normalement 26 voitures au départ, mais on vous rappelle que Simone de Silvestro a dû déclarer forfait puisqu'elle souffre d'une petite commotion cérébrale après son accident du Milwaukee Mine la semaine dernière, ce qui avait d'ailleurs étonné quand on a appris qu'elle avait une commotion cérébrale puisqu'elle avait pris le départ de la course. Elle avait été autorisée à prendre le départ, mais les symptômes de la commotion se sont déclarés un petit peu plus tard. Simone, on espère également retrouver en pleine forme lors de la manche de Toronto dans 2 semaines. C'est la troisième course, si on compte les 2 courses de classe. La troisième course de la saison qui se déroulera en octobre, c'est également la dernière. Toutes les courses maintenant se dérouleront 2 jours, même si pour nous Motegi sera très tôt le matin ici en France, en Europe. Vous voyez Dario Franchitti ici dans sa voiture, la fameuse biplace qui prendra place devant le peloton pour le départ, enfin pour en tout cas le départ de ces tours de show. Vous voyez la première ligne Takuma Sato, Danica Patrick. Et maintenant on va aller démarrer ces moteurs.
Now for the most famous words in racing, the chair of the Iowa Corn Promotion Board, Mr. Dick Gallagher. Drivers, start your ethanol-powered engines.
Alors, pas très enthousiaste le monsieur, mais on rappelle évidemment grâce à cela que ces monoplaces roulent à l'éthanol, le carburant vert. L'éthanol, eux, est 98. Si on parlait de 85, mais c'était bien le 98, ce qui fait qu'on a 98% d'éthanol et 2% d'essence normale, donc ce qui fait que c'est quasi complètement d'éthanol pour ces IndyCar, qui est le sport automobile, je pense, le plus vert de la planète. Ça ne devrait pas poser trop de problèmes. Et d'ailleurs, avec le passage du méthanol à l'éthanol, on a quand même 20 000 gallons d'essence utilisée en moins, enfin d'essence d'éthanol donc utilisée en moins par année par rapport à ce qu'on faisait avant. On va regarder le Honda Fastest Series in Sports. C'est Alonso Junior qui va faire le pilotage. Alonso Junior, double vainqueur des 500 miles d'Indianapolis en 1992 et 1994. Et ici on va voir donc l'invité dans ce tour qu'on appelle shophonda.com. Je ne sais pas si c'est ouvert l'Europe, mais on peut toujours tenter shophonda.com pour essayer de remporter un ride et comme on dit un petit tour avec la biplace. Alors donc on va parler à la vainqueur, donc je ne pensais pas gagner évidemment. Et c'est parti. On va évidemment directement à l'Announcer Junior qui remplit burn-out pour sortir des stands. Il ferme violemment les visières, c'est aussi l'une des marques de fabrique des Announcer Junior. On essaie de voir tac d'un coup. On ferme les visières. Et donc voilà. Alors évidemment je suis fan des IndyCar Series, c'est normal. Donc profitez, Nicole. Donc notre ami Nicole qui est dans la voiture. Et c'est parti, donc on va pouvoir profiter du pilotage d'une voiture de l'IZOD IndyCar Series. Ce sera évidemment l'expérience du livre. Vous revoyez une dernière fois la grille de départ qui va défiler en haut de votre écran. Les deux voitures vertes en première ligne de la grille. Mais une verte qu'on voit beaucoup mieux que l'autre. Ça fait toujours bizarre de voir la voiture d'IndyCar qui ressort extrêmement bien un peu partout. Et vous voyez ici, les lumières du circuit sont déjà allumées. Et Dan Weldon vient de revenir dans la cabine du commentaire. J'essaie évidemment de temps en temps de vous traduire les paroles de Dan Weldon qui sont très éclairées, hein, puisqu'on rappelle que Dan Weldon s'est imposé ici en 2008 pour le compte du Jeep Ganassi Racing et qu'il a quand même roulé lors des 4 précédentes visites à l'Iowa Speedway, construit entre 2006 et 2007 sous la direction du pilote de l'ex-pilote de NASCAR Rusty Wallace. Donc on nous dit bon 77 tours plus ou moins au niveau de l'essence, mais comme il fait un peu plus froid, on va non, il ne varie pas l'éclairage. Alors oui, évidemment, c'est paumé, le circuit c'est pas paumé, c'est dans les champs de maïs, on l'a placé là, mais c'est pas très loin de la grande ville de Des Moines. Alors Michael, alors c'est vrai que ça fait depuis 2001 que Scott Dixon n'est pas parti aussi de moi. Alors on a parlé de la même chose de ce qu'on parle d'habitude. Il faut être très intelligent par rapport à ce qu'on fait. Essayer de revenir à l'avant. Bon, ça va être plus dur cette fois-ci évidemment. Bon, je suis heureux d'avoir un pilote qui a l'expérience de Scott avec nous. Mais bon, voilà, il part certes de très très loin, 23ème, on rappelle Scott Dixon qui s'est complètement raté en qualification, mais avec son expérience, il devrait l'utiliser à bon escient. Regardez, il est quasi en dernière ligne, il n'y a que avec Sébastien Saavedra qui est une ligne derrière lui. Regardez, vraiment énormément de fans qui se lèvent. Bon, on nous a annoncé que ce serait une course à guichet fermé. Bon, c'est pas complètement plein, je vais dire, mais il y a pas mal de monde. Alors évidemment, on va relativiser. Quand on voit au Texas Motor Speedway quand il y a 70 000 personnes, c'est extrêmement clairsemé. Il y avait plus ou moins 70 000 personnes cette année. Là, c'est plein, mais alors les feux d'artifice, évidemment, en première course nocturne à Iowa Speedway en IndyCar, on rappelle. Mais là, il y a, je crois, entre 25 et 30 000 personnes. Donc, pour la télévision, il y a beaucoup moins de personnes, par exemple, que ce qu'on avait au Texas, mais c'est quand même plein. Regardez, on est prêt, 2 par 2, le départ en double fil. Takuma Sato, Danica Patrick, la première ligne. Tony Kanaan et Jerry Lebrun, la deuxième ligne, où Tony Kanaan qui a pris un excellent départ. Le drapeau vert est sorti. Takuma Sato va mener le peloton dans le premier virage. Danica Patrick s'est raté au départ, ça c'est pas très étonnant. Il y a une voiture qui est très lente, il y a une voiture qui est extrêmement lente à l'intérieur du circuit. Il y a un pilote qui n'a pas pris le départ, alors que c'est pas bon pour les pilotes. Ça, regardez, il ne voit rien. Il ne voit pas grand chose dans la ligne droite arrière, j'ai l'impression, avec toute la fumée des feux d'artifice. Qui a mis remarqué avec Will Power, déjà une qui a mis remarqué dès le début de la course, c'est assez étonnant. Non, mais c'est une normale PF, hein. Elle est toujours très très lente au restart. Maintenant, elle va commencer à y aller un peu plus, sur que Gérald Lebrun attaque et passe en 3ème position, il me semble, devant. Et donc, c'est un circuit vraiment qui a tout d'un grand. Alors que non, c'est Franck qui, par contre, qui a dépassé Danica Patrick. C'est un circuit qui a tout d'un grand, hein. C'est des gros bankings, on est quasi tout le temps à fond, mais c'est un short track. Donc, c'est un genre de. C'est un bullring, on l'appelle ça, c'est vraiment une arène, hein, ce circuit, une arène où tous les coups sont permis quasi. Évidemment, il y a toujours le carnet, alors que bon, ça c'est normal, hein, encore une fois, Fleur Fox qui décide de planter, alors que Scott Dixon est déjà remonté en 18ème place en moins de 3 tours. Les tours se font en moins de 18 secondes, il me semble, alors que l'image va revenir, ne vous inquiétez pas, je l'espère. Non, j'ai pas fait le mise à jour, c'est pas important à rien en ce moment. Et donc toujours Takuma Sato en tête devant Tony Kanaan, Dario Furki, Danica Patrick, Jerry Lebrand, Will Power, James Hinchcliffe. Allez. Quand même, voilà. Donc on est au 5e tour, c'est pas grave. Alex Tagani ici avec... c'est Mike Conway qui s'est raté au départ. Mike Conway aussi avec des nouvelles couleurs. Cette voiture toute noire, je me demandais qui c'était au début, c'est Mike Conway, donc, qui était extrêmement, il est parti 9e et il s'est retrouvé 20e maintenant. On l'a vu à l'intérieur du circuit à ne rien faire, à attendre que les autres le dépassent. Regardez-moi ça, le peloton de tête. Takuma Sato, Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti qui va aller à l'extérieur. On rappelle les push to pass également, il y en avait 25, 24 disponibles, avant le départ de cette course. Regardez, 3 de front dans le premier virage. Oh, c'est chaud, et Franchitti qui va s'emparer de la tête probablement, quoique Takuma Sato va essayer de rester à l'extérieur. Sato va rester en tête, mais je pense que Franchitti va pouvoir repasser à l'intérieur. Sato, Franchitti côte à côte avec Danica Patrick et Jerry Lebrand qui suivent ça d'assez près. Mais voilà, ça c'est vraiment la course à l'Iowa, 3 de front dès le début de la course, 7e tour de piste. On a eu d'autres fronts et Dario Franchitti va normalement aller prendre la tête de cette course. Dario Franchitti, double vainqueur en Iowa en 2007 et en 2009. Il était bien parti pour gagner en 2010 avant problème de boîte de vitesse. Tony Kanaan qui va à l'intérieur de son équipe. Puis attention, il a failli mettre les roues à l'intérieur de la ligne jaune et c'est très dangereux de mettre les roues à l'intérieur de cette ligne jaune, bien entendu. Et si vous regardez Takuma Sato, regardez les côtés des roues arrière, il y a les anciens côtés des roues arrière, parce qu'en fait il y a un package spécial pour les plus grosses écuries, je veux dire à l'Iowa Speedway. Si vous voyez, on va essayer de voir un peu, donc ici vous voyez que c'est sculpté de manière droite, je veux dire, alors que si vous regardez par exemple sur le Franchitti ou l'autre, ça fera, on aura la côté des roues quasi comme sur un Super Speedway, mais avec une petite barre qui dépasse un petit peu comme une roue arrière de McLaren en Formule 1, si vous voulez une comparaison rapide. Mais donc même avec ces anciens côtés de roues, que j'ai le moins fait frapper le mur ici, alors que Danica Patrick se rapproche de Tony Kanaan, donc avec ces petits côtés de roues, ça fait pas une grosse différence. Finalement, ici on regarde James Hinchcliffe qui est à la bagarre avec Ryan Briscoe. Il se bagarre, nous a mis pour la 7e position. Hinchcliffe qui depuis sa bonne prestation au Milwaukee va s'en mettre un petit peu plus à l'aise sur les ovales, et ça fait vraiment plaisir de voir d'autres pilotes venir se mêler un petit peu à la bagarre au classement sur Ryan Briscoe qui va à l'intérieur maintenant. Et vous voyez ici les côtés d'aileron, ce petit bout bleu qui dépasse en dessous du 0,6, ça fait un bout d'aileron assez bizarre entre guillemets, mais c'est le package utilisé habituellement ici sur l'Iowa Speedway. Donc Ryan Briscoe, on voit que c'est un petit peu plus sculpté comme côté de l'aileron arrière. Bon, ce sont des petits détails évidemment, mais ce sont des détails qui peuvent valoir gros. Et voyez, on est déjà au 13e tour sur les 250 qu'on va parcourir ce soir. Je vous dis, s'il n'y a pas beaucoup de drapeaux jaunes, ça va aller très vite. Il y a beaucoup de vortex, oui, l'humidité est assez haute, puisque je vous dis qu'il y a eu un très gros orage ce matin. L'humidité est assez haute. On va se retrouver déjà après la première page de pub, après seulement 12 tours, c'est assez court.
Hay versus Klitschko. Next Saturday, Sky Sports HD box office. To order, Sky customers go to sky.com/order box office. See channel 739, press the green button or phone this number.
Big savings on baby essentials, from wipes and nappies to bubble bath and shampoo. Teensy-weensy prices at Tesco. Every little helps.
Some deodorants only protect against sweat and odour. Introducing Dove Men Plus Care, combining 48-hour protection with quarter moisturizer technology. For powerful deodorant that is tough on sweat, not on skin. Dove Men Plus Care deodorant.
Lately I've started seeing things it takes a little faith to believe in. And it feels a little easier, like you've got someone holding your hand.
This is Eamon. A familiar face here in Clonmel. And without Eamon and his bees, things just wouldn't be the same. You see, Clonmel is the home of Magner's Irish cider. And if it wasn't for Eamon's bees pollinating the orchards, they couldn't keep growing the 17 varieties of apple that gives Magner's its unique taste. Which is why you'll often hear people say, there's method in the Magners.
De retour en direct sur le circuit d'1,2 km de l'Iowa Speedway, 8e de mile, hein, pour être exactement précis, 20e tour de piste de Iowa Corn Indy. Toujours en tête de Takuma Sato, Tony Kanaan, Danica Patrick et J.R. Hildebrand, l'américain, 2e des 500 miles d'Indianapolis, on rappelle, après son accident dans le dernier virage. Ensuite on retrouve Ryan Pesco, Will Power et bien d'autres. Regardez cette magnifique caméra plantée dans le sol ici, Frankie, vous voyez voilà, les pilotes qui passent. Et voilà, vous avez vu Dario Franchitti vous passez juste au-dessus de la tête. Pourquoi pas, j'ai envie de dire. Alors on voit ici la bagarre entre Ryan Hunter et James Hinchcliffe maintenant pour la 8e position. Ici, voilà, 8e place, Hunter et Hinchcliffe au début du 23e tour. On est quasi déjà à un dixième de la course finalement. On aura au bout du 25e tour. Là, les Marc Cornetti, on tourne d'un coup. On tourne la tête de 280 degrés, passons de l'arrière à l'avant de la monoplace. Le live timing de la complètement fou. Ah, drapeau jaune, crache dans le mur. Et c'est James Jakes. James Jakes qui s'est mis dans le mur. Le coéquipier d'Alex Lloyd et de Sébastien Bourdet chez Dalcon Racing. Et donc voilà, premier accident de la soirée, un accident apparemment tout seul, James Jakes, voilà, qui va bien, le rookie britannique, c'est son premier accident je crois de l'année, hein, donc il a fait un bon boulot pourtant depuis le début de l'année. Alors maintenant on va évidemment avoir le premier pit-stop, les premiers ajustements possibles, Nika Patrick, mais qui nous étonne quand même parce qu'elle a fait le 18e temps de la séance d'essai de nuit et elle est restée 4e depuis le départ, donc apparemment ça apparaît pas mal, les nouvelles conditions de piste semblent mieux lui convenir. Après est-ce que ça va permettre de terminer encore dans le top 5, voire mieux, ça reste à démontrer évidemment, la course est encore très longue. On va quand même essayer de revoir ce qui s'est passé avec notre ami James Jakes. Ouais, il a perdu la voiture derrière Charlie Kimball, où il a tapé très fort quand même ici, mais il a juste perdu l'arrière, un petit peu de survirage. Regardez ici, c'est à cause évidemment des turbulences, hein. Regardez derrière Charlie Kimball et Alex Lloyd, et puis là il tape violemment le mur avec l'arrière de la monoplace. Et James Jakes, premier abandon normalement ici à l'Iowa Speedway. Voilà, James Jakes qui s'extirpe de sa monoplace, il va bien. Il va quand même faire le check-up obligatoire évidemment au centre médical du circuit. Et donc 25e tour, un dixième de course, et on va voir les premiers pit-stops qui vont se dérouler. On va voir tout le monde s'arrêter dans l'une des plus petites pit lanes de la saison, la plus petite étant celle du Milwaukee Mile que nous avons visité il y a de cela 6 jours maintenant, c'était dimanche dernier. On a vu là, les pilotes menaces, James Hinchcliffe va s'en être côte à côte, peut-être qu'ils se parlent, on ne sait pas, parler par signe, par geste. Et voilà, tout le monde qui rentre, bien entendu, Franchitti, Sato, Canal, je crois que Sato allait se mettre dans le mur, là si je mettais dans le mur là, c'est quand même impressionnant. Regardez, Will Power qui est l'un des premiers à s'arrêter dans son box, le leader du championnat, le co-leader du championnat, les 4 pneus, l'essence, peu d'essence évidemment, donc c'est là c'est ceux qui vont être le plus rapide au changement de pneus. Et crash avec Kimball! Crash avec Kimball apparemment. Vous regardez Will Power et Charlie Kimball qui sont percutés, incroyable hier du championnat, qui percute le rookie de Charlie Kimball. Et là c'est peut-être déterminant évidemment pour la course et pour le championnat. L'aileron avant droit de Will Power qui est endommagé, la suspension semble avoir un léger dégât, j'ai l'impression quand même ici. Kimball rentrait dans son stand, Power en sortait, le contact était apparemment inévitable. Alors que c'est Franchitti, Kanaan, Briscoe, 3e maintenant devant Sato et Danica Patrick, 6e Castroneves, 7e Hildebrand, 8e Servian, 9e Hunter et 10e Marco Andretti. C'est reparti pour Will Power, ils n'ont pas eu le temps de changer l'aileron et oui c'est cassé, j'ai l'impression, vu comment il tenait le volant, la suspension avant droite semble cassée pour Will Power. Donc là ils vont vite changer l'aileron avant, une fois que Power revient au stand, hein, pour éviter de perdre un tour là, vu le temps qu'on va devoir nettoyer l'accident de James Jakes, parce que regardez, il est juste là, Dario Franchitti, donc c'était assez chaud évidemment. On va voir ce qui s'est passé. Gros contact, et ça a gêné évidemment également James Hinchcliffe, le Canadien du New Balance Racing, qui lui n'a pas pu ressortir de son stand en attendant. On est repartir, mais regardez, c'est un énorme choc, hein, pour la suspension avant droite de Will Power. C'est un énorme choc, c'est de la faute à Will Power, je pense, hein. Et alors Charlie Kimball, regardez, il y a un petit bout là qui bouge. Là, oui, il va falloir soit l'enlever, soit pas tout. Ouais, s'il se détache, bon, ça va être très dangereux. Au niveau des creusons, tout là. Will Power maintenant qui va rentrer au stand à nouveau pour cette fois-ci changer d'aileron avant. PF1 non, il pouvait pas freiner. Là, il était dans la phase d'accélération. Tu ne peux pas freiner à ce moment-là encore. C'est trop long. Mais il ne devait pas le faire sortir à ce moment-là. Voilà. Allez, on s'arrête. On va changer à nouveau. Là, l'aileron avant. Alors, au niveau de Charlie Kimball, on a évidemment des dommages assez importants sur le ponton gauche. Hein, on vient de nous l'annoncer. Et donc voilà, on change l'aileron avant chez Will Power. Le type Penske est toujours l'un des plus efficaces au niveau des pit stops. Regardez, c'est reparti. On essaie évidemment de les faire sortir le plus vite possible pour éviter de perdre un tour. C'est ça le défaut avec les ovales extrêmement courts. On doit à tout prix ne pas perdre un tour. Et regardez, le Pescar est juste là. Donc Will Power va éviter pardon, de nouveau de prendre un tour. Évidemment, il n'allait pas se raccrocher en sortant, vu que Kimball rentrait dans son stand, pour voir en sortait, là ils peuvent pas sortir tous les deux et s'accrocher. On va voir à nouveau ce moment, peut-être un des tournants du championnat, peut-être pas, on le verra évidemment au fur et à mesure de la saison. On va, je pense, encore amener les essais avec nos amis britanniques, tout à fait. Donc nous allons rester à quelques instants ensemble. Il y aura moins de publicité que d'habitude, c'est quand même une bonne chose. Pour ceux qui ont suivi la course de Milwaukee la semaine dernière, c'était une plaie. On avait des pubs toutes les 5 minutes, même les Américains se plaignaient, alors que les Américains sont plutôt habitués à toutes ces publicités. On va refaire un point complet sur le classement. On va revoir l'accident encore une fois au ralenti. Voilà, c'est vraiment la faute. Ouais, on ne sait pas trop vraiment de qui la faute. Moi je pense que plutôt qu'elle est du côté Will Power. Donc Daniel Franchitti est en tête maintenant devant Tony Kanaan, Ryan Briscoe 3ème, Takuma Sato 4ème, puis Danica Patrick, Elio Castroneves, J.R. Hildebrand, ouais bon, il reste Tevin qui s'est encore raté, en tout cas on va Marco Ratti 10ème, Wilson 11ème, puis Beatrice, Meira, Dixon 14ème, pourtant le 3ème on le rappelle, 15ème, et Carpenter 16ème. Alors qu'il s'arrête encore au stand, notre ami Charlie Kimball, donc encore un petit peu travaillé sur le côté gauche de la voiture. Kimball qui, rappelons-le, est le seul pilote à rouler avec en étant diabétique. Will Power encore une fois au stand également. On voit cet accident en boucle à chaque fois. Et regardez ici chez James Hinchcliffe, il n'aura pas pu ressortir. Très bon sous-test qui a coûté pas mal de place au rookie canadien, qui on l'a vu est également repassé par la pit lane. Il est désormais au 22e rang devant Power, Kimball et James Hinchcliffe à l'abandon. Ça me semble fini là pour Kimball. Il a coupé le moteur. Il a coupé le moteur. Suspension arrière gauche, pardon, est cassée pour Charlie Kimball et c'est l'abandon pour le rookie américain qui n'a vraiment pas la saison qu'il souhaitait. Mais j'ai l'impression qu'il a quand même du. Ouais. Je sais pas, pour Will Power, il va falloir avoir un premier tour à fond. Toujours pas un tour évidemment Will Power, mais là voilà, justement, il a l'avantage, il peut faire des tours un petit peu plus rapides pour rattraper le peloton. On va essayer de voir un petit peu le côté gauche de la voiture ici. Pas grand chose. Et pour moi, il y a peut-être le radiateur ou quelque chose qui a été endommagé. On voit les fans qui ont reçu des petits drapeaux verts pour l'éthanol et ils sont invités à les agiter lors de chaque restart ici sur ce petit circuit. 9ème course de la saison, 8ème meeting, l'Iowa Speedway, l'Iowa Corn Indy 250. On ne fera pas 250 miles, pardon, mais bien 250 tours. C'est un circuit, on le fait 7-8, demain on voit un accident ici. Alors, Charlie Kimball venait de l'extérieur, il aurait dû être plutôt à l'intérieur. Mais la faute est assez partagée, mais ça reste quand même plus, je pense, pour Will Power. On va repartir en double fil, c'est reparti drapeau vert. Dario Franchitti mène le peloton au restart. Des fans agitent leur petit fanion, leur petit drapeau vert, c'est parti. Et derrière, ça se passe entre fond, c'est l'Iowa Speedway. Il est 3h14 du matin, on regarde IndyCar en direct sur IndyCar.fr. Dario Franchitti, Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato qui a fait un très beau dépassement extérieur sur Ryan Briscoe, Ryan Castroneves qui est très rapide à l'extérieur. C'est chaud entre les deux équipiers. Mais là, Ryan Briscoe, oui, non, il est moins rapide, j'ai l'impression que les autres. Il va se faire dépasser par pas mal de monde dans les tours qui suivent. Vous avez vu tout le monde passer au-dessus. Danica Patrick ici qui se fait dépasser par le Servier à l'extérieur. Encore un très mauvais start de la Lady in Green cette année. Bon, c'est pas très étonnant, mais je pense. Oh, regarde l'extérieur, il y a le Servier qui passe. Briscoe lui a énormément de sous-virage, je pense. Regardez, on voit il tourne énormément le vent, il doit ralentir pour éviter de partir large. Il a du sous-virage, Briscoe, et il va donc à chaque fois il va peut-être gagner des places au stand, après il va y reperdre sur la piste. Donc ça c'est pas vraiment pratique. Danica Patrick a également perdu des courses, des places, en étant 7ème position. Et non, je n'ai pas mon petit drapeau vert en main, mon petit fanneau vert que j'agite à chaque restart comme la vingtaine, trentaine de milliers de fans de l'Iowa, présent à l'Iowa Speedway aujourd'hui. Notez quand même la remontée de Scott Dixon qui est revenu en 12e position en étant parti 23e. Attention Marco Andretti qui attaque à l'extérieur et qui va passer Danica Patrick. En même temps Marco Andretti on le retrouve soit à l'extérieur soit dans le mur régulièrement. C'est vraiment sa ligne préférée sur un ovale et donc Marco Andretti passe désormais en 7e position. Danica Patrick est en 8e place. Derrière c'est J.R. Hildebrand, le pilote du Panther Racing, qui est derrière. Tu au moins un accessoire de Danica, évidemment je vais. T'inquiète pas, je les vois d'ici. Des accessoires dans ma petite étagère. Toujours en tête, Dario Franchetti qui a maintenant 8 dixièmes d'avance sur Tony Kanaan. Et puis Takuma Sato et Castro Neves. Oh, vous savez, vous avez la bagarre entre les 4 pilotes là pour la seconde position. On espère quand même que Tony Kanaan va réussir à faire comme la semaine dernière une belle course, mais sans finir de la même manière, bien entendu. Dario Franchetti qui montre quand même qu'il y a un truc spécial. J'ai l'impression cette piste pour lui parce que même que ce qu'il fasse jour lui, parce que 2007 première course de l'histoire ici, ben, il la remporte. 2009 c'est sa deuxième course puisqu'il n'avait pas fait en 2008, il l'emporte. 2010 il devait l'emporter en problème de boîte de vitesse. Là maintenant il domine dans le début de course. Regardez Lucas Rames à l'extérieur. Regardez, ça ce sont des images qu'on voit d'habitude au Texas, à Chicago. Et bien là non, on voit ça sur un tout petit ovale et ça fait plaisir bien entendu. Côte à côte, Takuma Sato et Helio Castroneves, c'est pas les pilotes dans lesquels j'ai plus confiance pour ne pas se percuter, on va dire, vu surtout le passif de Castroneves cette saison et le passif de Takuma Sato dans sa carrière. James Hitchcliffe lui est remonté en 19e position, il est reparti en 22e place. Donc voilà la voiture de Jourban. Et regardez à gauche de votre écran, ils sont toujours côte à côte et Castroneves je pense avoir l'avantage maintenant en entrant dans le premier virage. Il passe devant Sato et maintenant Oriol Savia qui va pouvoir porter son attaque sur le pilote japonais. Regardez à l'extérieur. Attention, il va peut-être aller à l'intérieur. Oriol Savia, il se décale côte à côte avec Sato. Oula, bagarre pour les c'est la bagarre pour la 4ème place, vous m'étonnerez quand même. Et c'est Aravia qui va repasser devant Sato, non. Et attention, Marco Andretti qui est là et qui pourrait faire un 3 de front. Lui, il est très très. Drapeau jaune, notamment drapeau jaune. Oh, crash, grosse sortie. C'est Mike Conway. C'est Mike Conway là qui s'est crashé, je pense. Mike Conway avec une autre voiture. Qui est l'autre voiture impliquée? Mike Conway va bien, mais il y a une autre voiture impliquée, j'ai pas vu qui c'était. Alors, 46e tour, deuxième drapeau jaune. On nous montre que Conway. J'ai vu une autre voiture impliquée, mais qui était apparemment sur la... Oh, Anna Batriz, voilà, la Batriz impliquée dans l'accident. Donc, premier contact apparemment entre pilotes. Anna Batriz et Mike Conway. Alors maintenant on va voir un petit peu ce qui s'est passé. Donc Dario Franchetti est toujours en tête dans déjà cette deuxième neutralisation de la nuit pour nous, de la soirée pour nos amis américains. Alors que va-t-il on va attendre qu'on en monte le replay. Bon, vous avez encore les voitures qui vous passent au-dessus. Ah, on a Vitor Meira, des dégâts à l'aileron avant droit. Vitor Meira apparemment serait impliqué également. Oh là là. Oh, il y a eu énorme accident là. Et oui, Vitor Meira qui a roulé sur un aileron et c'est ça qui l'a endommagé. Mais quel terrible crash, j'ai l'impression, entre Béatrice et Conway. Ils se sont tapés très fort. Hein. Et la Conway qui va aller retaper le mur intérieur ensuite, puisqu'évidemment on ne peut plus contrôler la voiture. Mais et apparemment c'était un peu le même genre d'incident entre Sato et Tagliani, mais finalement cet accident-là, bon, personne ne l'a vu, en tout cas ceux qui ne sont pas sur place, ceux qui n'étaient pas sur place hier, parce que IndyCar ne nous a toujours pas montré de vidéo, ce qui aurait été sympathique. Will Power, lui, ben, il était 21ème, donc il était dernier, hein, finalement, Will Power. Je regarde, vous voyez, c'était en dernière position. Avec Will Power, ouais, là, les roues sont pas vraiment alignées comme il le souhaiterait, donc il y a un petit problème quand même sur la suspension avant droite. Comme prévu, Vitor Meira, donc il n'a pas été impliqué, il a roulé sur un débris, il a percuté plutôt un débris même, qu'il a bien tout cassé. Danica Patrick, on la voit, elle est en 9ème position. Il y a un tir groupé, ah non, il y avait un tir groupé, Marco Andretti est bien monté, il est 6ème désormais. Mais on a 9 et 10, Danica Patrick et les deux équipiers. John Recti Autosport. Ce serait bien qu'on ait un nouvel angle peut-être d'accident entre Anna Patrice et Mike Conway. Tout de suite.
Follow David Hay and Vladimir Klitschko. We take you out of the ring and into their lives as they prepare for the eagerly anticipated World Heavyweight Unification Showdown. Behind the Ropes, Wednesday at 6 and 9, Sky Sports HD.
Naughty boys in nasty schools. Headmasters breaking all the rules. Having fun and playing fools. Smashing up the woodwork tools. Baggy trousers. Baggy trousers.
In the Tesco electrical sale, many big-name brands are up to half price. Now that's worth a plug. Tesco. Every little helps.
Good morning, world. It's a brand new day. I'm packing my bags and I'm getting away. Down about a blue where the living is so wild and free. If you want to get happy, then people come along with me. A beep, bow, 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 bow. Good morning, freedom. Yeah. A beep, bow, 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 bow.
Transformers, that video game out now at Sainsbury's.
Change can be caused by anything that raises your pulse. I haven't seen anyone raise your pulse like Alice does.
Are you okay?
The bite is a gift. I don't want it. You will.
Teen Wolf, the brand new series. Starts 7th of July at 9. Sky Living HD.
Shine the spotlight on Iowa corn. This state is the leader in corn and ethanol production. 1 bushel produces nearly 3 gallons of ethanol, and ethanol production provides nearly 50,000 jobs in this state. And we're glad to have them as a sponsor of tonight's event. Here's Lindy Thaxton.
I am with Dick Gallagher, the chairman of the Iowa Corn Promotion Board. Tell us what the benefits are of corn ethanol, not just for the IndyCar drivers out here, but for everyone.
The benefit that we really see the most is it gives us a chance to run E10, E15, E85 blends. Another real benefit of it is it reduces our dependency on foreign oil. It's environmentally friendly, it's renewable, and it's just a high-performance fuel that we can use daily.
You got to tell them to start their engines. How was that for you?
Oh, that was exciting. It really was.
Dick Gallagher, thank you. Let's go back to the race coverage. Bob?
Yeah, you saw the grandstands nearly full, and there are a lot of people sitting on the bank up above turns 1 and 2. A great night of racing here at Iowa Speedway. There they are. Big hospitality area. All right, let's take a look again at the incident that we are currently under caution for. And yeah, it looks like that Anna broke loose, didn't she?
Oh, she got loose right over that bump.
Yep.
And
that's a contact with Vitor Mir, the shrapnel coming off. And you can see all these little parts flying through the air. Anyone, that's Saavedra, Hinchcliffe, all these cars coming through, you got to be concerned. Certainly, well, already for Vitor Mir, it looks like he's had his repairs, but for everyone else, you definitely want to come in and get tires because they could be cut.
And I think that really goes to show you, when you see that debris coming off the car, how fast we're going around this short racetrack. I mean, when you consider we're averaging about 177 miles an hour, it's pretty impressive.
Dario's fastest lap in the race is 176.6. Let me look down through here. I think the fastest lap so far has been maybe Marco Andretti at 177.5.
And there's Marco. He's Mr. King of the High Line. And around here, if you can get that working for you, that is a great place to pass, because it makes you less vulnerable. When you're tight on the inside, the cars can pin you down. That's when you have to get back out of the power. But let's go down to Robin.
Hey, fellas, the thing that's amazing is Castroneves said he was going to take it easy. Obviously, he was lying. He's charging. There's a guy that needs a victory, because, look, Will Power's kind of stole the spotlight of that team. Briscoe's been fast all year, but Elio's kind of been the forgotten guy, other than getting bad-mouthed every now and then by Dario. And I think one thing Dan Weldon said that's really true, nobody's going to be happier to see a street race than good old Mike Conway.
And we return to the street and road courses in 2 weeks in Toronto, Ontario. They're still cleaning up the debris back there in the backstretch from the 2 cars that crashed. Franchitti, Kanaan, Castroneves, Sato, and Serbia are the top 5 here.
And Bob, I'd be interesting to see. Dario was very good on the initial starts. We saw at Milwaukee that Dario was good on a short run, but as on the long run, it was Kanaan.
Yep.
Now, is that going to happen tonight? I think it's going to be very interesting, because I think that can be the case. I stood at turn 1 and turn 2 at the warm-up, and Kanaan did lap after lap after lap. And speaking to the Ganassi guys, they think that's their biggest competition tonight.
One of the things we want to look at, Bob, is how many people will pit. The leaders may or may not, but I think you can see by how many teams are set out, you kind of have a 50-50 mix here. I would say more than half will pit, but there'll be some people who decide to stay out.
We will see shortly. Pits right now closed, but the pit crews are laid out, some of them ready for their driver to come in. Dan Weldon, we showed in our last race a couple of weeks ago him at St. Petersburg, his home, and here he was at Disney World in Orlando with the family. Pretty cool, huh, Grand Marshal?
It was fantastic, and you know, to be there with obviously my wife Susie and sons Oliver and Sebastian was phenomenal. Disney took absolutely great care of us, and was honored to be the Grand Marshal. I'm only the 2nd Grand Marshal this year, if I can brag a little bit. Super Bowl champions were the only other Grand Marshal, but had a wonderful time.
Now, did you tell them you were 26 like you told us yesterday?
I told them I was 24.
We've checked.
Yeah, we have checked.
And it's 33.
I thought Jan was my friend. And you can see we're working more on Vitor's car, so there was obviously some damage there.
That was one of the first things that Jan said to me this morning on the way to the track. I know how old he is.
I'm just waiting for my gifts from both of you. I haven't received anything
yet. Well, that's in 2 weeks in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not sure what it's going to be, but
something big.
Danica Patrick down in a 9th position. And let's go down to Kevin Lee once again with an update on Vitor as they continue to work on his car.
They're working on the right front toe link. They came in a few laps earlier and they changed the front nose cone, but they didn't have the part that they needed, so they had to hustle back to the garage area. The golf cart just arrived, so that's what they're working on now. And now Will Power is coming in. They're going to be doing the same thing. They're working on that right front suspension. The wheels weren't aligned the way they like, so the caution came at a good time for that team. And Will Power is hoping to get a good handling race car, stay on the lead lap, and hope he can still score some points here tonight.
Now, the reason he had to turn the steering wheel all the way to the right is that exposes the nut you need to get to change the toe.
Now, typically, if there's a problem with the toe, you'll notice it on the onboard. We as drivers, we like to run the wheel slightly to the right. And I noticed that Will Powers was dead straight. When you run it dead straight, you kind of cross your arms in this kind of racetrack because it's such a tight radius. So be interesting to see when we come back.
Will Power has dropped 40 points to the rears of Dario Franchitti, but we are still early on in the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. Stay with us.
So this is becoming an even more incident-packed race, and we've seen how things have been progressing so far, and you wonder quite where it's all going to end, because last year, well, there were only 4 cautions in the entire race, and we're going to beat that record, I'm sure, tonight. And these are the pictures still coming to us live from the circuit. We're still under the yellow, of course, and as you can see, we're just approaching lap 60. We're on board with Tony Kanaan. That's the view. We're riding with him at the moment. That's what he's seeing. And the lights are coming in with more and more effect, of course, as the day ticks by. And it's interesting to just look at the way this race is developing and how it's all going to pan out. And of course, plenty of incident already, and we're only at the quarter race stage. So the first time they've raced through at night. But let's get a thought from my studio guest. Let's go to Johnny first. Johnny Martin, what do you make of what we've seen so far? Because there has been incident. Nothing thankfully too bad, but plenty for us to talk about. And indeed, this is turning out to be a good race.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot more incidents than we've had last year. One, because it's at night, colder temperatures. Also, there's been a lot of rain, so the track's very green. So I think the actual grip level of the surface that they're racing on at the moment is probably a lot lower than they've been used to, even up until now, and certainly than it was last year. You also heard Dario mention they've got a different type of tyre. So yellow kind of breeds yellows. You lose a lot of tyre temperature, you lose a little bit of tyre pressure, and then obviously the grip levels drop, and then when you're out there running in traffic, losing a bit of aero, then it's a lot easier to make a mistake and hit the wall, as we saw with Anna Beatrice there. Very unfortunate for Mike Conway to get caught up in that, and through no fault of his own.
Versus welcomes you back to Iowa Speedway near Newton, Iowa. We are live for the Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer. Marco Andretti is in 6th position. He has gained 11 spots since the green flag dropped at the beginning of the race. And while we were away, we eavesdropped on some radio conversation.
So what do you think happened with the tires, Marco? No, I was just saying we were picking up a lot of crap because they made us go off the track back here. Does it feel like it? Yeah, just going to have to work to get it off. I'll be fine.
So, Bob, what he's saying there, they'd done a few laps before it went yellow, so the tyre temperatures were up. Now, when they have to do a restart and they haven't got new tyres on, as we look at Michael here, his boss and dad,
right?
You know, they have to work the tyres very hard to clean them up, and that's what Marco was talking about. He's typically very, very aggressive on the initial lap, so he should clean up his tyres pretty quickly. But you might see cars skate around because of, you know, the debris that they've picked up, or I shouldn't say debris, the dirt.
Yeah, right. Well, we see several making pit stops, including Danica Patrick and Oriol Servia. Kevin?
Power was in just a moment ago, but they came in with a pit flow, so he came back in here to top off with everyone else, and he's away.
And Kevin, the reason for that is if you enter a closed pit, your penalty for that is you must then pit when the pits are open and make a 4-tire stop. So he was serving that and got fresh tires.
Ed Carpenter also exits pit lane in the Sarah Fisher car. Kevin Blanche, who is the one of the technical people for the IZOD IndyCar series. The cleanup continues. It's been quite a cleanup back there, as there was, again, a lot of debris scattered all over the racetrack by the contact at the safer barrier by Anna Beatrice and Mike Conway.
Now, just let's keep track of who pitted. If it turns out that it stays green for a long time and the leaders have to pit under green, all those cars you just saw in pit lane are going to get a free pass up to the front. So we'll just track that. And the reason the leaders wouldn't pit is because the saying is yellow breeds yellow. So they're thinking there's going to be more.
Absolutely, it does around this racetrack in these cool conditions. Another thing that I'm noticing is Scott Dixon is already up to 8th position. He's going to be happy with that, considering where he started.
Up 15 positions from his starting spot, and you can see the cars now beginning to form the two abreast alignment as they exit corner number 2 down the backstretch. We'll get a restart this time, and Dario pulling away a little bit from Tony Kanaan on the outside. Behind them, Castro Neves, Sato, and
allez, on va quand même essayer de faire ce restart. C'est reparti au début du 65e tour. Un long drapeau jaune, parce qu'il fallait vraiment bien nettoyer. 3 de front derrière, Danica Patrick au milieu. C'est reparti, Dario Franchitti en tête. Je suis étonné qu'on ait donné les restarts parce qu'il y a un énorme 3 de front derrière. On rappelle que la dernière fois qu'ils étaient 3 de front et restart, les Iowa Speedway en 2007 avec Danica Patrick au milieu. C'était craché. Allez, Castro Neves 3e devant Sato, Andretti, Marco Andretti maintenant qui est là. Marco le tient à l'intérieur de la piste. Il faut faire une photo, c'est assez rare. Et le 95 qui va attaquer à Anthony Callan. Et regardez, si on remarque, Castroneves, Canan, Franchitti, c'est les 3 qui dominaient la course l'année dernière. Donc finalement, ça reste pareil. Bon, évidemment, Canan a changé d'équipe entre temps, hein, donc ça change un petit peu le niveau de la voiture qu'il pilote. Mais ça change rien. Oh, Marco Andretti à l'intérieur maintenant. Marco Andretti qui semble très en forme aujourd'hui. Ça fait pas mal de temps qu'il est bon sur ovale, Marco, mais il n'arrive pas à avoir sa première victoire sur ovale. Je pense que sa seule victoire en carrière c'était en 2006 sur l'Infineon Raceway de Sonoma. C'est quoi le truc qui sort des ailerons? Ça s'appelle un vortex. C'est au niveau des pneus, vous avez des pressions, de l'humidité, tout ça. Oh, Hildebrand avec Ryan Briscoe, c'était extrêmement chaud. C'est, voilà, comme dit Dan Weldon, ils font ça tellement vite, c'est fun à regarder. Évidemment, c'est moins fun hein, pour lui. Je pense quand même. Ou alors que Castroneves, j'ai eu un petit peu d'étincelle, mais ça me rappelle que les voitures sont lourdes et que les températures et pressions de pneus ne sont pas encore optimales. Donc c'est encore assez normal, je vais dire. 70e tour de piste, on va pas tarder à la mi-course quand même ici, hein, déjà. À l'Iowa Speedway. Il y a pas mal de monde qui est parti du stream. Bon, c'est vrai que le parcours était assez long. C'est vrai que on a pu avoir raison. Bah oui, merci PF1. Hein, je sais quand même comment on compte 250 divisé par 2. J'ai dit qu'on est bientôt à la mi-course, pas non plus. Je suis pas complètement débile non plus. Donc Castroneves, Andretti et les autres, mais on rappelle que c'est toujours Dario Franchitti avec sa voiture bleue qui mène la meute. Il devrait retrouver la voiture normale, je pense, à Toronto, la voiture rouge. Allez, maintenant on va faire un petit through the field, donc on va passer le peloton en revue. Donc voilà, aucun problème pour la voiture des deux Castroneves, c'est pas étonnant évidemment vu qu'il est deuxième. On va parler un petit peu de Marco Andretti en 3e position. Marco, le pilote américain de la 3e génération entre Mario et Michael, le père et le grand-père. Et derrière lui, on retrouve Tony Canan qui mène la meute du KV Racing Technology Otus devant son équipe Takuma Sato. IJ Viso, lui, bon, il y a une course difficile, il est 19ème, mais il a eu un week-end extrêmement difficile depuis vendredi, et ça n'a pas l'air d'aller mieux pour IJ Viso. Takuma Sato, il a un peu perdu par rapport au début, évidemment, il est parti en pole position, maintenant il est 5ème, mais voilà, il va prendre sur le plus normalement. On rappelle que l'année dernière, il était en 3ème position avant de se faire surprendre par des billes de gomme et taper le mur. Jerry Hildebrand, lui, qui fait l'une de ses meilleures courses de l'année, je trouve. Il est performant depuis le début du week-end sur cette ovale. Ils ont fait un énorme ajustement sur la voiture de Jerry Hildebrand. Ryan Briscoe ici. Donc la voiture a beaucoup de survirage en entrée. Ok, le 80 s'arrête au stand. Et le 80 au stand. Il y a un truc bizarre là. C'est pas normal. Ah, c'est pas possible. Il a encore un pneu qui est en train de se dégonfler. Donc là il va perdre énormément de tours évidemment. Les Castroneves au moins 2 tours. Oh, la malchance des Castroneves, incroyable, c'est reparti, 42.
So two of the Penske drivers have had problems here. Will Power with a collision with Charlie Kimball on pit lane, and now Elio.
Et donc ça ouvre la voie évidemment à Dario Franchitti avec ces 2 problèmes pour le type Penske. Will Power, il est où Will Power? Il est pas reparti, j'ai l'impression. Will Power. Ah c'est pardon, il est 18ème. Et on revoit ici ce qui s'est passé. Le Castroneves qui est en tête de la course et ce pneu arrière gauche qui s'est dégonflé. Et maintenant encore un pneu à plat pour Elio Castroneves qui a dû passer par la pit lane. Ici à l'Iowa Speedway, pardon. Et voilà, ils ont pris le pneu arrière gauche de Milwaukee, ils ont mis leur doigt dessus, c'était vraiment tout plat, il n'y avait plus rien, plus d'air du tout dans ce pneu. C'était peut-être la même chose ici. Donc maintenant Sato passe en 4ème position, il demande 5ème. Danica Patrick réintègre le top 10. On se réjouit comme on peut, bien entendu. Et Scott Dixon est 7ème. On le voit ici, voilà, Scott Dixon, 7ème position pour le pilote du Chip Ganassi Racing, le double champion 2003 et 2008 et vainqueur des 500 miles en 2008. Et bien voilà, il a fait un bon début de course ici. Et vous voyez, il y a pas mal de différences de lignes utilisées par les pilotes, comme l'explique Dan Whelan. Certains pilotes préfèrent utiliser la ligne extérieure dans le virage 1 et 2, comme Dixon ici. D'autres, comme Olsaria derrière lui, utilisent la ligne intérieure. Ça dépend. C'est vraiment comment votre voiture se comporte. Si votre voiture a un peu de sous-virage, on va essayer de rester à l'intérieur. Si elle a du sur-virage, on va essayer c'est vraiment essayer de trouver le compromis. Et bien, au niveau de la gomme, des fois sur la piste, parfois on se dit, bah là, il y a un peu plus de gomme à cet endroit. Ma voiture se comporte mieux, donc je vais rester là. C'est un compromis qu'il faut trouver dans les premiers tours de piste. Maintenant qu'on est au 85e tour, les pilotes commencent à bien connaître ce circuit. Et donc, eh bien, ça devrait aller sans aucun problème pour trouver là où ils sont les plus performants. Mais non, il y a encore la différence quand il y a du trafic ou non. Bien entendu.
Take a gamble. He was in 5th place. He dropped back to 12th on lap 63, but he's already worked his way up, almost to the top 5. I think Oriol Serbia has the car he liked in the first practice and in qualifying, not like the car he had in warm-up yesterday. And the other members of the top 10 behind Oriol Serbia in 9th position is Graham Rahal, and in 10th spot is Danica Patrick.
And on that last lap, Serbia ran faster than the leaders.
Really?
He's flying.
There is the leader, Dario Franchitti.
Clear by 9.
He's led all but 7 laps so far. We're on lap number 88. Behind him, Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato, and J.R. Hildebrand at Iowa Speedway.
David Hay.
This is what David Hay can do.
Vladimir Klitschko. Go head-to-head for the WBO, IBF and WBA World Heavyweight titles. Hay versus Klitschko. Next Saturday, Sky Sports HD box office. To order, Sky customers go to sky.com/order box office. See channel 739, press the green button or phone this number.
The planning is over. No excuses now. Getting poised and ready for the final.
And they're away cleanly this time, exploding out of the blocks. They've all started well. On the inside, he's ahead at the moment, but can he stay there? And over on the outside, they're chasing hard. Can he keep the pace into the second half? And here they come, they're coming back, but he's holding on well. There's an enormous pressure here, but he's got to stay on top. Oh, there's contact on the outside, but he's going for gold. Yes, he's there. He takes gold. New Powerade energy, energized spark, sustained performance. What can you say about that?
Many men have a small problem. Premature perspiration. It can be produced by nervousness, insecurity. It's something they can't control, making them lose self-confidence, but above all, making them lose women. New Lynx Dry Full Control, 48-hour antiperspirant. Premature perspiration can be controlled.
Et une sortie de piste pour Will Power, le co-leader du championnat dans le mur. Oh là là. J'espère que ça va pour l'Australien. Ouais, il y a pas mal de monde là. Gros crash pour Will Power apparemment. Avec le mur. Will Power, le co-leader du championnat dans le mur. Et on espère que ça va pour Will. Alors, on va revenir ici. Que s'est-il passé? C'est accueilli. Terrible sortie pour Will Power. Je crains pour son dos évidemment. Caméra maintenant, on va écouter. On va écouter Will Power. Et l'impact est terrible. Terrible impact pour Will Power. On espère que ça va bien. Pour l'Australien, bien entendu. Et il est sorti de la voiture. Il s'est assis sur le ponton de sa voiture, on le voit ici, donc il va bien. Ouf. Soulagement quand même, Will Power qui est un peu sonné évidemment. Vous avez vu ce contact avec l'arrière terrible. Il s'est levé, il semble marcher normalement, ça va bien pour Will Power. Alors est-ce que ça vient de la suspension? Ça m'étonnerait vu que c'était la main droite qui était touchée. On revoit donc cette soirée maudite de Will Power alors que son rival au championnat de Frank est en tête. On voit donc il repart, il touche Charlie Kimball en sortant des stands. Ça commence très mal. Donc pour Will Power ici. Et puis maintenant l'accident ici, vous voyez les restes de sa monoplace. Et tout le monde s'arrête au stand. Encore une fois, au 95e des 250 tours de piste. Et maintenant, on a Frank évidemment qui va essayer d'avoir le plus de points possible. La victoire n'est plus indispensable depuis que Will Power s'est mis dans le mur. Alors, ça repart derrière sans problème. Personne ne va toucher. Personne n'a dit Patrick qui est un peu lente à la sortie. Attention, 3 de front avec Briscoe, Andretti et Dixon. Ici, beaucoup de fumée, mais ça a l'air de s'être passé. Franchetti, Canan, Sato, Andretti, Briscoe, Dixon, devant, Gerald Tagani et Danica. Patrick, les 10 premiers. Vous avez vu Canan et Sato qui ont gagné des positions. Andretti qui en a perdu 2. Et vous voyez l'épave vraiment de la voiture numéro 12 de Will Power qui a heurté le mur avec une violence inouïe.
Patrick, but you can see on the road that he's behind Danica, so he should have picked up positions because he wouldn't have had to take as much fuel as everyone else, but something went amiss.
You know, I was sitting in the grandstand last weekend in Milwaukee, and a lot of fans around me saying, why do they have to bring these sweepers out every time there's a yellow? Well, there's a very good reason for that, Dan.
Yeah, there's a huge marble build-up, and also with the debris. Firestone do an absolutely fantastic job with the tire, but when you have a big incident like this, the shards of carbon can cut those tires very, very quickly, and the safety team do a great job of making the track safe for the drivers.
Charlie Kimball's car looks like is being pushed back perhaps behind the wall.
So he's coming back to his pits after going in. Remember, he had that water leak and that hole in the side. So I imagine they took it behind the wall. Now they're going to bring it back out.
Okay.
And what they do, they use that sand to soak up the fluid, and then they blow it off. Obviously, fluid on an oval when you're doing over 170 miles an hour is not what you want. And they make sure that that's dried up, and then they get the sand away with the blowers.
And with the 2 abreast restarts, you want
you want all the road.
Yeah, a track that doesn't have any marbles or anything else on it, for that matter. Go ahead.
Sorry, and that's one thing. Like I say, I've touched on Firestone before. They do a phenomenal job of constantly improving the tire.
This is J.R. Hildebrand leaving the pits. And look at all the people he's got. Whoa, look out. That was a close one. Look how they fight. And the line to determine your position is not till around the corner. Look at that wiggle for Hildebrand.
That was a good catch.
They were coming at him from all sides. Wow, that was a great save by JR. Almost gets into the back of DeMarco. Hildebrand will be in 7th position here on the restart. It's Graham Rahal right behind JR. And there is Elio Castroneves, who, because of the pit stop, has dropped back to 19th position. Back with more in just a moment to Iowa Speedway and the Indy 250 presented by Pioneer.
So, while our colleagues in America have a short break, we'll carry on here in the studio in London. Johnny, first of all, let's get your reaction to what we saw there with Will Power. That could have been a lot worse, I suspect, because that was quite a high-speed impact.
I mean, you're seeing it again here, and obviously he went down early, pinched off the corner slightly there, and there are a series of bumps here in various places. Quite often they happen where you've got a pedestrian tunnel or a traffic tunnel coming in under the circuit, it sinks slightly, and that was a big hit. That would have really rung his bell. So it's good to see him get out of the car and walk away unassisted. It
shows quite clearly, too, doesn't it, James, the strength of these cars, because that was a big impact, and yet you see, when you look at the car from a distance after it, it wasn't that bad. It could have been so much worse.
Yeah, the strength of the cars, but also the safer barrier that they have around the outside wall, which has the impact zone. So it's greatly reduced the impact, and it's also made it so much safer for the drivers when they were hitting the concrete walls. I remember talking with Gilles de Ferran about it when he was my boss, and he said that there was nothing as bad as hitting the concrete wall, and when you knew about it for weeks afterwards. I think the safer barrier's done really, really good thing for the sport, and but yeah, like Johnny said, I'm sure Will's going to feel that one for a week at least.
Yeah, and you know, when you see what happened there, you just thank goodness that these cars are strong, brilliantly designed, and yet again, you're just marvelling that worse things didn't happen there. I mean, thankfully, it seems to be okay.
Yeah, definitely seems to be okay. Getting out of the car and walking away was quite impressive. Normally they get them out and put them on a stretcher.
Yeah.
So Will must have really been feeling good. I mean, the guys work so much on their fitness these days.
And the track crew are having to work pretty hard out here, Johnny, aren't they? Because there's been a lot of debris on the track in the last few laps, and really they're keeping them busy. It's so vital to keep the track clear to avoid any tyre problems.
Absolutely, and you saw Elio probably picked up a puncture from running through some of the deep debris between Mike Conway and Anna Beatrice's crash, and I don't think that will have had any bearing on Will Power's accident, but nevertheless, it's very important to make sure, as Dan was also saying just now, that you don't have any fluids or even dust down on an oval like this quick. You run over it, and you're going to be in the wall before you know it.
We're approaching almost the halfway stage in this race. Can you see anything dramatic happening between now and the end?
Well, I'll tell you two things, really. Marco Andretti has obviously got a very strong car, and he started 17th, and Scott Dixon started 23rd, and they're now running 4th and 6th, respectively, so they could show well.
OK, we'll see. Let's cross back now to our colleagues out there in Iowa.
Get an update on him coming up in just a few moments, hopefully. 3 other drivers involved in crashes. They have all been checked, cleared, and released. They're all okay. That's Mike Conway, Anna Beatrice, and also James Jakes. Bob?
All right, thank you, Kevin. We did see, of course, Will walk to the safety car, so hopefully you're going to get a good report on him when it is available. All right, Robin, what's up?
Well, Bobby, Mike Rogers got the right rear tire changed, and he put his hands up, and John Cesanicus thought he was signaling he had a problem, so they lost 3 spots when they got him back out, but everything's fine now.
Okay, that, of course, a report on Oriol Servia, who is now back to 11th spot. Now let's go down to Robbie Floyd with a report on Graham Rahal.
Graham Rahal in the 38th in the 8th spot, but we eavesdropped a little bit on his radio just a moment ago.
Yeah, for the restart, we'll just do like Milwaukee, you know, just stay on the gearbox. You see him taking off, you see Dixon take off, you just go. Don't even wait for him to call green, you just go. Yep, copy.
And Graham also talked about finding a better line out there just before they came in for this last caution. They said run the shortest distance around this racetrack. And right now, he's in 8th spot after starting 20th.
And one other thing we should mention, Elio Castroneves, I mentioned he's back in 18th position, but he is back on the lead lap. So you're right, Dan. Don't count him out.
Yep. Yeah, you can never count a Penske car out. And Elio Castroneves, he will never give up. He had a great car early on in the race, and I would expect him. He's got plenty of laps to get back to the front. I would expect him to get there, I have to be honest.
You know, they just told him, bad news, Elio, you're P18. Good news, it's not even halfway yet.
Well, the great news is you're on the lead lap. I mean, that really worked to his advantage, and that happened because everyone ahead of him pitted, and he got the waiver out.
We are close to the halfway point. We're at lap 105 now. Dario Franchitti has now led more than 500 laps this season. The closest driver to him, Will Power, who going into tonight's race had led 225. So Dario will continue to add to that number.
Now, Bob, we've had enough pit stops now that people who had bad cars will start having better cars. So the complexion of the race is going to change because those who are in trouble would have a chance to get it fixed.
And I think the cooler conditions are going to close the field up. You get more downforce. It makes a car easier to drive. And you can see here a little bit of movement as they line up.
Now, what you're talking about, Dan, was J.R. Hildebrand. As they're weaving, people jam on the brakes and then accelerate. And whoop,
yeah, that
look out.
That was, he didn't expect that.
All right, they line up 2 by 2 here as we get set to resume the competition.
Guys, and I think this is going to get good this time. I really do.
Once again, it's Franchitti flanked by Tony Kanaan, then Sato in the second row with Marco Andretti, Briscoe and Dixon in the third row. Here they come to the restart as the fans are on their feet waving their green flags, and indeed it is green.
And again, Dario gets a great jump. He's in the comfortable position. He's not having to fight with anybody. Kanaan's on the outside of Sato.
Yeah, Sato is showing some muscle here. He takes second.
Now, his confidence is going to be gaining because, remember, he had not put any laps on that car after being repaired. Now his confidence will be back.
And Kanaan said he had nothing for Dario. Sato thinks just the opposite. Yeah. He's going. He's going. Tony's car's obviously working pretty well, can run pretty close. You see him just get out the power a little bit, the car pushing in that dirty air. Over that bump, you hear him lift out the power. Often the car bottoms a little bit on the first few laps until the tire temperatures get up, and just lift that ride height a little. Once that happens, then you're able to drive over that bump flat out.
While we're on board with Tony Kanaan in third, we'll tell you that Scott Dixon has moved up to fifth. He started 23rd. And Jan indicated during the book just before we started the race that this is the worst that Scott Dixon has ever started. Ties for the worst he ever started. But he won the race that he started 23rd in Nazareth a decade ago.
His very first IndyCar win.
Yep.
Dixon is having some bottoming out issues, he said, which is making the car loose. They have told them the next time he comes in, they're going to adjust the tire pressures to see if that helps. You see Dixon right in front of rookie J.R. Hildebrand.
And what you do when you raise the tire pressures, you in effect raise the ride height of the race car. That means he'll be able to get over the bump without the bottoming.
Good run for Scott Dixon so far in this race.
You know, sorry, Bob, I keep...
That's okay.
What Dixon is very good at, he's very good at analyzing what his car does. And if early on in the race, he'll be making changes to make it good for the end. And you see Marco on the outside of Tony Kanaan.
Just about to take third. The battle for third is between Kanaan on the low side and Marco Andretti.
Now, don't forget about their off-season war of words where Marco was saying,
yellow, yellow, yellow. Sebastian Saavedra is in the safer barrier, just past the halfway point.
Yeah, like you said, the yellows breed yellows, and this is just the track for that.
Only been 20 laps since they pitted, so we'll have the same scenario, 50-50. Some will, some won't.
Typically, it'll be the opposite of what I say. You're the man at that. That's why I drive the race car, because I definitely get that wrong every time.
The Homatro safety team rushes to the driver, Sebastian Saavedra, Colombian driver. And another big hit here at Iowa Speedway. Listen.
Same place. Same place.
Yep.
This track will bite you, and you know, again, he hit at a bad angle with the rear of the car first, and you know that's the last possible place you want to hit.
Well, we'll look at a replay first. Oh, you can see all the sparks. Was that enough sparks to where something could have broken? Yeah, there was a lot of sparks.
Yeah, and I think you might be right. I think something may have broke.
We'll back it up to the if there was sparks before it goes sideways and it continues to spark, that often is an indicator that something's broken. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a close one.
Now, you may notice by the position, the way that they're tending to him in the car. Looking ahead to...
Oh, that's a difficult one to say from here.
I'm wondering if the right rear suspension may have given way. That was an awful lot of sparks. And you may have noticed the positions that they've gone into. If you watch the pre-race show, what they're doing is stabilizing his neck, meaning that there may be, if he has any sort of complaint of neck pain, they'll go through that procedure that we got demonstrated through the Professor B that Ed Carpenter showed for us. So that is exactly the procedure they're going through right now.
And this year on the Homacho safety team, they do a fantastic job. As drivers, you want to know you've got people surrounding you that care and are very competent and do a great job. And they're there sometimes before the car even stops. We as drivers know these guys on a personal level and appreciate everything they do.
This racetrack does not have a concrete wall. It is the first racetrack in the country to not have a concrete wall, but instead a safer barrier all the way around, even on the straightaways. And that is also an important factor.
Bob, and I got to say, this racetrack needs it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a challenging racetrack.
Now, Bob was talking about this being a safer barrier. Watch the wall itself.
Yeah.
You can just see how much of the G-force is reduced because of that. But still, that is a huge hit, which is why you're seeing Dr. Ollinger and his crew, Dr. Terry Trammell on the left. They have the Phillips suits, and then Homacho safety team are those that actually perform the rescue.
What's great about that wall is it really absorbs some of the impact. Can you imagine if that was concrete? That could have been, a very intense accident.
Hey, Dan Weldon, did you ever hit a wall that was all concrete? Because I think Jan broke his pelvis hitting a real wall at Michigan once.
Yeah, I've hit a few walls in my time. There's no doubt about it. And I think some people tell me they knocked some sense into me. But, it's a huge safety improvement, and it definitely reduces the impact. And this series should be commended for, and the tracks, for putting these safer barriers or safer walls, at the tracks that we race at.
Sebastian Saavedra remains in the car. The doctor's being very careful.
Yes, but they're letting him move his head now. Yeah. So that we saw when when we interviewed Ed Carpenter, they were so trained to holding his neck that they didn't let him go. He could barely answer my question. But anytime they allow you to move your neck, that is a fantastic sign.
Dr. Terry Trammell, his back to you, one of the best-known orthopedic doctors and surgeons in the country, or in the world for that matter, in blue. He was a doctor that took off his belt when Alex Zanardi had his horrible crash and really saved his life.
And you can see Sebastian is very shaken up. Yeah. I mean, these Indy cars, when we hit at the speeds we do, it really takes your breath away. There's that adrenaline initially, and then, when you get to think about it, it can be incredibly painful.
Remember, this is the same guy who last year won the race in Indy Lights, and has been struggling in the IndyCar, and this is not what he was hoping for.
And it's always very difficult when you're in a one-car team. He's inexperienced. He doesn't have, the information from an experienced second guy or girl in that team, and it makes it very, very hard to learn. The competition level in this series right now is as intense as it's ever been.
Well, beginning to clean up the debris and vehicles moving away from the scene of our latest crash. Out of turn number 2 in the backstretch, Sebastian Saavedra having a hard hit.
And guys, while we're looking, we can see Dario there, Takuma Sato in second, and Kanaan in third. I gotta say, I love the way Takuma Sato's attacking the race. Yeah. He is really going for it. It's great to see, on those initial laps. I don't know if you've noticed it, but that car is sliding a little bit on the rear end. He's really going for it.
KV Racing Technology, 2nd, 3rd, and 15th, Lindy.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of radio chatter between TK talking about Takuma Sato. Listen to this.
He's dropping me off every time. I'm not going to pass him. Tell him to take care of me. This is the second time. 10-4 4, TK. I just relayed the information to Jimmy and told him to knock it off. It's one more, and he's going to learn a lesson that he will never forget.
Oh. That's some great team chemistry right there, huh?
Yeah. All right, Kevin is with Will Power.
Well, good to see you come out of the medical center. First, are you okay? That was a big hit.
Yeah, just, it's rung my bell a bit then. That hurt. Probably shouldn't have been out there with a damaged car, I think. Shit, man, that's not good.
I heard you guys talking before it went green the last time. You wanted to come back in and try to fix things again. What happened?
I was trying to tell him that it needs to be fixed, and I was trying to say we should just go and do it anyway.
All right, here we're seeing what happened on pit road with Charlie Kimball. Tell us your perspective and what you were hearing.
They just sent me out, and he came across my bow, and that was that. Bent the steering and broke the front wing. Yeah, and then that's what caused the accident. I mean, I had to put so much lock in to turn the car, and then it caught me out. And, once again, we screwed ourselves in the pits like we always do. You just got to stop that.
We've got a couple of weeks off before Toronto. Are you going to need to get cleared again before you can get back in the race car?
I don't think so. I think I'm cleared now, so I didn't really have a concussion or anything. Just a little bit. Got a bit of a headache.
Okay, sorry, Will. Power out of the race tonight. Lindy?
I mean, we heard the radio communication between Sato and TK about blocking. What have you said to Sato?
Well, it wasn't really blocking. I think TK's smart enough to, it's halfway through that he's just trying to work with Takuma and ride around, maybe save a little fuel. But I think Takuma was taking some air off and making it difficult. I think he shot up about a 3 and 4. And Takuma, he apologized. And we talked to Takuma to, give him a little more space for some clean air.
And you had just told him to save fuel behind Dario. You could stay green for a while. Then it goes yellow. Seems every time you say something, it changes. Are all these cautions making it tricky?
Well, it seems like we're in the window now to make it on one stop if we go all the way out to 170. But if another yellow comes, 150, 160, then we're all going to be scrambling again to make it. They're counting on some yellow. But certainly also when you're out front, you burn more fuel. So Dario's a little bit of a disadvantage when he's out front. So we're trying to hold court right now. Still a lot of race to go. And as you see, the race changes quite often. But I'm proud of Takuma and Tony and the whole team. And, hopefully we can get a trophy for the shop here.
And Bob, we are now at the halfway point.
Yep, 125 complete, 125 to go. A great nighttime shot above Iowa Speedway. Dario Franchitti leads Takuma Sato here in Iowa.
We are halfway.
We have a situation here. The lift's down. But we're still going up.
You're crazy. It's 25 floors.
There's an old lady up there. She needs this.
Steady up, mate.
To me. I can't nearly there.
Steve, mate, I've had it.
Come on. We're going to get through this. And then we'll be down there, sipping a crisp, refreshing Strongbow.
Come on! 24. Ooh, so far.
I knew you guys would pull through.
I always like happy ending.
This is stripy. I wanted plain.
Sky brings you UK poker from a name you can trust. Compete in a variety of games with players from all across the UK. If you're new, collect £10 completely free and play in our £500 new player free rolls. Sharpen your skills with our exclusive Poker School videos and collect monthly bonuses as you play. Sky Poker. Poker the Sky way. Go to skypoker.com now and claim your £10 completely free.
Win the war against hay fever with Benadryl, the fastest acting hay fever relief capsule.
Presented by Pioneer. Dario Franchitti flanked by Takuma Sato. Then Kanaan and Marco Andretti in row number 2. Here they come for the restart.
Green.
And we're green once again.
And the 2 KB cars are side by side, guys. What's going to happen? We know that there's a little bit of friction there. Sato seemed comfortable on the outside and clears Tony. Is he going to attack Dario? I think he is.
Now we'll see if Marco has anything for TK. Marco moves to the high side of Kanaan. Off of the 4th corner, Kanaan holds off the challenge for the moment.
And Marco has some momentum.
Yeah, high side Marco. He loves that outside. Couldn't get alongside Tony, but on these restarts, he's fantastic getting up to speed quickly.
Serbia and Patrick.
And here's Alex Tagliani. He has been strong today. Yep. Moved up to 7th, and he's challenging Scott Dixon on the outside right now.
Tagliani was very brave on that restart. They were actually 3 wide. He was all the way up against the wall. He stays up there and is trying to get the better of Dixon.
Battle for 6th position. Boy, Tags had a terrible car at Milwaukee last weekend, but it's working for him tonight.
And he should just about clear Scott. Yep. Yes, he did. And Scott's going to be under pressure from Oriel on the outside line.
Danica Patrick also sneaking up to join that 4-car battle.
Here comes Serbia, just like he said.
And see, the problem, guys, when you get pinned on the inside, it just, you can't carry the momentum. So Scott's really going to have to, make his car work. He'll be using that weight jacker to make the car rotate for him and not have any push, so he doesn't have to get out of the power.
Talk about Alex Tagliani. You talk about it looked like he had a good car. When I was talking to his strategist, Rob Edwards, during that last yellow, he said they're not having to chase the car. And as we look at Tags on the outside, J.R. Hildebrand started on the outside of him earlier, and his spotter said, hey, you see that Dixon is loose in 1 and 2. It's a good thing we're on the outside. Well, Tags is now on the outside, and he's loving it, but they're not chasing that car. Just minor adjustments, little push here, then a little understeer, a little oversteer, but they're not really chasing. They're just fine tweaks. And Rob Edwards is really happy with the 77 Bauer and Wilkins car.
Tagliani up to 6, just ahead of him. Here we are, the National Guard car driven by J.R. Hildebrand.
7 by 3, working that high line.
He really likes that outside groove. As I say that, he kind of moved to the inside, but back on that outside, he seems to be able to carry a lot of momentum through the corners, and he's wanting to work to the front.
And if you can run high for a lot of the race, you don't actually wear your tires as much because you actually have a larger radius, so it helps you later in the stint.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jan. And you can see Tagliani, he's not giving up. He's really working to get by those cars.
Now Serbia is pushing on Dixon. Here he comes to the inside.
Serbia low, Dixon high into corners 1 and 2. The battle for 7th. Tagliani just set the fastest lap of the race with an 18.096 second lap.
He's on his overtake assist as well. Remember, they have that push to pass feature as well. He's using that. Tagliani really wants to keep that momentum going and close this gap.
There you see Hildebrand closing up on Marco a little bit.
And he's on overtake as well. So Hildebrand's going after him.
The intensity of this race, it's that little bull ring. People are on their overtakes. There's people on your outside, people on your inside. It's just a fantastic racetrack and promotes a really good race. And look at the lead. Kanaan's looking to try and get back by Sato, and it's cost him a spot potentially. Marco's on the inside of him.
Oh, there you go. So close in turn 1, and Marco gets the spot.
And Tony will definitely be complaining about that. Marco really committed to the inside and said to Tony, hey, I'm not giving you any room. I'm coming through.
They were both on the overtakes. They said, take that, former teammate. And here comes Hildebrand to the inside.
Nearly touched wheels there as Hildebrand came up. My palms are sweating again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
JR's had to lift big time.
And guys, you saw exactly what happened there. Tony crossed JR's bow, and it made his car push on up. And hopefully for him, he won't lose the momentum where another car gets in from behind.
This is the battle for 10th spot. Ryan Briscoe on board, looking back to J.R. Hinchcliffe.
And that's unbelievable. Ryan Briscoe is the lead Penske car in 10th place, and he's being attacked by Hinchcliffe. Castro Neves is now 16th, and Hinchcliffe is he's not giving up. He's trying hard.
It's good to see guys like James Hinchcliffe and J.R. Hildebrand having great races on this kind of a racetrack.
And I think James Hinchcliffe is doing a fantastic job as a rookie. He's in a blessed position. He's got Oriol Servia, a great teammate, a wealth of experience. You know, feels very comfortable in that environment, and that's really helping James.
Join our IZOD Speed Zone here on board with now Marco Andretti. Once again, really close between Hildebrand and Kanaan.
And that really took the air off of Hildebrand.
Guys, Tony's definitely not giving Hildebrand much room. There's no doubt about it.
He really squeezed him down on that yellow line.
There's your first three, and look how close they are.
Marco's still working that high line. Dario hasn't been able to break away as much as I thought, but, you know, seems pretty comfortable up the front.
Here comes Marco. Yep.
Outside.
And he's good in the middle of this corner.
Outside. Still there.
They're telling Sato that he's there.
Fans are loving it. Now try the inside.
Oh, great move.
Whoa!
Great move. Great commitment from Marco. Fantastic. He got by Tony in a very aggressive way, but clean. And he did the same to Sato. And Sato was great to give him room.
And now we focus on Servia and Tagliani for 6th place.
So Servia now is going low. Tagliani's been running high for a while. Servia now's got some clean air. See if he can catch the group ahead.
Tagliani was running such a high line in turns 1 and 2. That's a lot of extra track distance he's covered, and Scott's getting on the inside of him right now.
So Servia's left this group. They fight amongst themselves. Danica, she had to lift, and Briscoe goes to the high side.
And that was great opportunistic driving from Briscoe. Saw that, and that's a guy that kind of read that situation fantastically. Really, really good driving there from Ryan Briscoe.
Briscoe moves up to 9th, dropping Danica back to 10th. Remember, she started on the outside of the front row. Back up front. About a 4-car length advantage for Dario Franchitti over a charging Marco Andretti. And the battle for 3rd now between the teammates.
Guys, that's getting close.
Look at Marco, though. Really Marco's got to run.
He's got
and
a
he's
good...
going to the inside.
Whoa, for the lead.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he downshifted, and can he complete it?
I think he's got position.
Man, this is good stuff, huh?
This is fantastic racing. It's great for Andretti Autosport. They're leading now. And it's great for Marco. This is the natural, talented Marco that I expect to see weekend in, weekend out.
Marco Andretti's best finish this year was at Barber in the 2nd race of the season. He finished 4th. Now watch Dario once again make a charge on Marco.
Guys, and I've got to tell you, Dario Franchitti is going to know that Will Power's out of the race. He's going to know that Marco's desperate to win, and that's something that he's going to take into consideration.
Yeah, he won't take the same level of risk that he might otherwise, but right now he's not letting him get away.
He's not letting him get away, but he knows. Marco's a very, very clean race car driver. He's desperate to win, though.
Yeah,
So's Andretti Autosport. Michael actually talks on Marco's radio, and so they're going to be excited.
Here he comes.
Look at Dario.
Here he comes to the inside, and he's going to get the lead back. Franchitti goes back to the lead on lap 161.
Hey, and who said Dario's not hungry for wins? This is an experienced guy, great motivation, doing a fantastic job. Really, really great to see. But you know what's great? They're racing each other clean. These two are probably racing each other cleaner than the two teammates behind them, Tony Kanaan and Takuma Sato.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, it's perhaps the best oval racing we have seen this year. Texas was, as usual, good, but so is it here at Iowa tonight. It's Franchitti back in front of Andretti, Sato, Kanaan, and Hildebrand in the top 5.
Greatest celebration of motorsport in spectacular high definition. The Goodwood Festival of Speed, next Sunday 3 p.m. Sky Sports HD3.
If you think all vodka is the same, take a sip of our premium Russian vodka. And think again. Russian standard. Vodka as it should be.
Some deodorants only protect against sweat and odor. Introducing Dove Men Plus Care, combining 48-hour protection with quarter moisturizer technology. For powerful deodorant that is tough on sweat, not on skin. Dove Men Plus Care Deodorant.
This is Tommy Flynn. The man who doesn't know his own strength. But to the people of Clonmel, well, that's just fine. You see, Tommy works at the Magners Cider Mill, and only he can get the juice from the tough little Dabinet apples that are needed to make the perfect draft cider. Or as they say, there's method in the Magners.
The IZOD IndyCar Series in action here at Iowa Speedway, and Dario Franchitti is the leader. He has led 50% of the laps this year, 557 out of 1,155, and boy, getting around some of the slower traffic is now a challenge for Tony Kanaan. That is Alex Lloyd on his right.
Guys, this is where it's going to get really interesting as you start to get through lapped cars. There's Hildebrand on the inside of Lloyd.
And Robbie Floyd eavesdropped on some conversation with J.R. Hildebrand. Wow!
Yeah, some close calls with J.R. Hildebrand. Don't have to worry about it that time. The number 4 working his way up. Again, started in 4th. He has a very fast race car. Had a hard time getting by Tony Kanaan. But when you have Pancho Carter making the calls, he gives you the exact way to get by.
Next time you get to him like that, you're making a run, make him think you're going high. Maybe just go high, then take him in turn 3. Go.
It's that simple, guys. Just take him in turn 3.
And Pancho Carter is no stranger to IndyCar racing. Now, look at E.J. Viso there in the 59 as Kanaan went around.
We saw that on board from J.R. Hildebrand. Yeah. That was a big moment for E.J. Viso. You talk about how the 2 KV cars are so quick. He's in his backup car. Remember, he had a crash in Milwaukee. He couldn't get back to his primary. He says that's the reason why he's so much off the pace this weekend.
He definitely got loose as Tony crossed his bow. And you can just see with one car what an effect that makes to the handling characteristics of the race car. You can see Marco keeping that pressure on. I've been really, really impressed with him here.
And E.J. Viso will come in for a pit stop on lap number 178.
When you stop now, the window is open, as we say, that he can make it to the end on fuel. If you're leaders, you want to stay out as long as you possibly can in case you catch a yellow. But if you were to pit now, it'll be your last stop.
And you're right, Dan. Marco is not letting Dario get out of his sights. The advantage is by time. 2/10 make that 3/10 of a second. But it's a matter of car lengths.
And a lot of people give Marco a hard time, but when you race against him, you can really see his true natural talent. You know, when he races in the damp and you're on slicks, there's a guy that comes to the front. I remember back in St. Pete a couple of years ago, the race was damp. We all started on slicks, and he was phenomenal. But you can see he's closed up again, and he's desperate.
Oh, here he comes.
He's looking on the inside. He's looking at Dario's giving him room.
Yeah.
Had to lift it.
That was nice.
It's so close around here. It's unbelievable.
Takuma Sato is in, Robbie.
Takuma Sato, I asked her, are they making any changes? Said no changes to him right now, making his way in. Again, he's a first-time pole sitter from Japan. A lot of pressures on this guy. Come from the Formula One series. He's going to throw on, it looks like a scuff set of Firestone Firehawks, fill it up with Sunoco ethanol and push him out with a fair start for Takuma Sato. Alex Tagliani comes in as well, and they've really not been chasing that car, the number 77. I think he's been happy with it throughout much of the day.
Oh, and Vitor Mira has got major sparks. He's got a problem. If this brings out a caution, wow, we have a move for the lead.
Slower car up ahead. That's Viso, who just came out of the pits.
Oh, this is going to get close. This is going to get close. Oh, Marco just pushes up. Dario is definitely, he's very aggressive, though. When you consider that Will Power's out of the race, he's still pushing the envelope. What's great is he knows, and he's pitting.
And Marco's falling. Oh, here we go. The two leaders right together, and he almost gets into the back of them.
Guys, and in and out laps are going to become really important right now. Really important.
60-mile-an-hour speed limit down pit lane.
Hey, reset your fuel,
and Sato is in the wall.
So anyone who hasn't pitted is going to get a huge advantage. Actually, these guys are too, because they're in the pits, and this counts.
Now we'll see.
All right, buddy?
Marco Andretti, they were thinking about putting a half turn of wing. They said no changes to that, so he's going to take off again a full set of Sunoco ethanol and Lenny Thaxton.
Same with Dario Andretti, no changes. He is pulling out now this race on
he got him.
And Marco Andretti gets him.
Wow.
Good job, boys.
And they're having problems with the fuel with Serbia, Kevin.
He's been in here for at least 30 seconds, and they couldn't get it engaged, couldn't get the fuel in. Now it's away. Oriol Serbia is running fifth, and now the car is about to die. It's just barely running. They're pushing it, and now it's dead. So a chance at a top 5 goes away for Oriol Serbia.
Was having a great run. J.R. Hildebrand is the leader, but he has not pitted.
Right, so because the leaders had already turned on the pit road before the caution lights came on, that's a new rule for this year, you actually get the credit for a caution earlier than last year. They haven't lost the lap. Thankfully, they got Serbia going again here.
And thankfully, Takuma Sato is walking to the Phillips emergency car after his incident. And here is what happened. Right of your screen.
Really
broke loose once again.
The exit of turn 2, that's biting everybody. But such a shame for KV Racing Technology. You know, their cars have been fast these last couple of races, and man, happened to Tony Kanaan, I think two years consecutively.
3, actually.
3.
Yep.
So now what happens, Bob, is anyone who hasn't stopped yet, like J.R. Hildebrand, has to come in, and they lose all their track positions. So it was just a fantastic gift for Marco Andretti, Dario Franchitti, and the others who happened to already be on pit lane. Robbie?
3, 2.
Well, the number 4 of J.R. Hildebrand, they had problems early, corrected a big push early in the race. No problems now. They started on the outside of row 2, trying to get a good, strong start and back out. Again, John Barnes was angry earlier when Ryan Briscoe passed on the outside. Now everybody's going to be trying to pass J.R. Hildebrand.
And one just did, and that was Ryan Briscoe, who had a great stop.
Ryan Briscoe really deserves the luck to go his way. He's had a couple of unlucky breaks this season, and he'll want to make the most of this. And I think we're going to go down to Kevin.
Great stop for Ryan Briscoe and the 6 team. They're looking for their first win of the season. Now a quick pit stop gives them an opportunity, and also a fortuitous caution helps.
Got a feel for Oreo Servia as we look at his teammate, J.R. Hildebrand. It's the pit stops. You know, they had a couple problems in Milwaukee. We know we've had one here, and now the fuel not flowing. It's like, man, we've got a fast car.
It's a shame. When you're on the lead lap, though, around here, anything can happen. We've seen cautions breeding cautions, and I expect the same. The racing has been so intense. We've got about 60 laps to go, so people are going to stop giving the room that they're giving. But I've got to tell you, there's not much giving out there right now. So
that's right.
It's going to be interesting.
We have had 4 leaders of this race so far. Marco Andretti had the lead on the racetrack, and he also won the race off pit road to put him in front of Dario Franchitti and the others, including Kenan Briscoe and Hildebrand. 189 laps completed. We're under caution because of an incident involving the pole sitter for this race, Takuma Sato. We'll take a break and be right back.
And here on Sky Sports, in fact, we're not going to take that break. We're going to continue our coverage from Iowa. Delighted to say that here in London, I've got Johnny Molam and James Rossiter with me to analyse what we've just seen. And really, we're at three-quarter stage now in the race, Johnny. And the pole sitter we've just seen has had a problem. What happened there?
I'm gutted for him, absolutely gutted for him. But he'd just come in, obviously put on fresh tyres. And I think he maybe went out and got caught out, like Dan Weldon said, the same place that's been biting everybody there. But just got caught out on the cold tyres, trying to get back up to speed, back out onto the circuit. So great shame for him. He'll be absolutely gutted about that.
He will. This has not been a happy period for him, losing his father, of course, and having problems as well. But when you see that sort of thing, that's possibly the last thing he needs at this stage.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously that's a terrible thing to happen to him, but at this point in time, I think obviously he'll be just ruining the chance of getting a really strong race finish, and he actually looked like he might even have the car to potentially to win this.
James, let's move on to the exciting battle for the lead, because this has been some terrific racing we've seen in the last few laps, and really we've seen the lead changing hands, and it's just been terrific tight racing.
Yeah, it's been absolutely stunning. Marco Andretti's doing an amazing job. He's never won on an oval. He hasn't won a race for, I think, 5 years now. Since his rookie season in IndyCar, and he's on an amazing form today. He's
78 races ago, the stats man tells me.
78 races ago. Well, there you go. He's definitely on it tonight. He's racing Dario very hard. And the interesting thing was, I thought Dario might drop back behind Marco, save a bit of fuel, but no, they've been fighting wheel to wheel, and it's really, really exciting to watch.
And it's a shame, really, that the rhythm of the race has been interrupted, but I'm sure we can go back to this sort of thing, because this race is really developing now into being quite a test for all these drivers.
Yeah, the track seems to be lending itself very well to running side by side. There's a high line and a low line, and that seems to really have made the racing just awesome tonight.
Excellent. Let's see what happens as we cross back now to our American colleagues.
Iowa Corn Indy 250. We're on lap 192 of 250. Marco Andretti, number 26, Andretti and Autosport Honda in the lead right now. And with strategist Michael Andretti, this car has been really good from the get-go. What have you said to Marco?
Not much. He's just real happy with the car, and now it'll be interesting to see if he has the speed to stay up front. He had a really good car to get up to the front, so hopefully the Venom car will get us there.
Driving fast is one thing, but you also won it in the pits, getting out ahead of Dario that time.
That was huge. The Venom guys did a great job with the pit stop. That's, getting out first is big here, because he'll be able to get the jump at the start.
Lindy Thaxton.
With Chip Ganassi watching Marco Andretti and your own driver, what do you think you have for Marco out there?
Well, there's about 55 to go or something yet, so plenty of race for us to give him a run. I mean, he had a pretty good car there. I'll give him credit. That last segment there, his car was really good. So we'll see if we have something for him.
And I'm sure you noticed Will Power out of that race. Does that take a little pressure off for championship?
Well, we'd rather re-racing him. I mean, we don't want to see anybody crash. So, I hope he's okay, and, we'll see him next week, I'm sure.
Chip, we'll let you get back to your strategy there. Bob?
That's Chip Ganassi. And Jan, there have been many highlights of this race. in the first 194 laps.
There have, Bob. It's been a great night of racing right from the get-go. Takuma Sato gets on the throttle, leaves Danica Patrick behind, and brings Tony Kanaan with him. And it was just the beginning of a night full of action, side-by-side racing, especially amongst those teammates. Lap number 7, this is when Dario Franchitti shows his muscle going to the inside of Takuma Sato. And man, he has been strong all night long. Unfortunately, Takuma Sato runs into trouble later on. The first person who did run into trouble, that was James Jakes on lap number 24. And that turned out to be the trouble spot that we saw a lot of people get into. Thankfully, Jakes was okay for lap 27. This was when Will Power left. He was sent, and he was sent in the path of Charlie Kimball. Sure, Charlie wasn't exactly where he needed to be, but unfortunately, Will Power's team sent him when they should not have. Now, lap 45, 2 cars getting together. Anna Beatrice, Mike Conway, shrapnel flying everywhere. Vitor Mira's car damaged, many others with punctures and damage. They got that all cleaned up. And lap number 78, unfortunately, maybe it was one of those shards that cut down the tire for Elio Castroneves. He lost a lap and a half, but now he has it back and has a shot. Lap 90, of course, was Will Power's big accident. He said, you know, maybe we shouldn't have been out there pushing so hard with a damaged car. Rung his bell. Certainly a very heavy hit for Power. And 114, Sebastian Saavedra, equally as hard, certainly, as Will Power. At first, they tended to him as though he had neck pain. That brings us to lap 185, Takuma Sato. This is the caution that we're under now, and it was in some way for his teammate and others. It helped them on pit road. Thankfully, Sato's okay.
Marco Andretti is the leader. He has led 12 the 195 laps. We've had 5 caution periods for 69 laps, 4 leaders, 5 lead changes, and the average speed on this 7/8 of a mile racetrack is 111 miles an hour. And we got one more to go at the line, and we'll get back to racing. Ryan Hunter-Reay is in 12th position, and Lindy has some news.
Yeah, a little bit of almost entertainment type news here. This is Ryan Hunter-Reay's last race before he's a married man. Next weekend, he marries Becky Gordon. They met in Long Beach. They were engaged in Long Beach. So as soon as this race is over, he's got a little bit of a different kind of stress going on, I guess.
That, of course, is Robbie Gordon's sister as they line up 2 abreast for the restart. Here is Marco Andretti pulling ahead of Franchitti. There is no start.
Pulling ahead a little early.
He was excited. He wants to hold on to that lead. He definitely wants to hold on to that lead. I think he knows that, you know, there's 51 laps left. If Dario gets in front, he's going to be difficult to get by.
Well, we'll try it again here. They come down the backstretch. We'll stay on board with Marco Andretti as we look over to Dario Franchitti. And once again, he jumps out into
on it pretty early.
He
got away with it that time.
Yep.
And Kanaan's inside Dario. It's tight. It's tight. And Serbia's up there, too.
Serbia going around the outside.
3 wide on this racetrack. The banking is progressive from 12 to 14 degrees, allowing this side-by-side competition.
And Serbia couldn't hold it. Ended up losing a spot.
He's actually a lap down. So you've got Briscoe. Now he's attacking Dario.
He would be because of all that time he spent on pit lane.
Yep.
So he's got to try to get to the front to get away by. That's why he's being so aggressive, because he's got to get to the front in case there's a caution.
And he's just dived inside Ryan Briscoe there. And you've got Scott Dixon and J.R. Hildebrand racing pretty hard behind him. And J.R. up the inside into turn 1.
Way down to the inside on the straightaway. He takes the inside line around the corner with Dixon beside him. But Dixon holds off the challenge momentarily. But JR's got a good run going, as up front we have Marco Andretti and now Tony Kanaan. And Kanaan will make a move to the inside.
Wow. No love lost between these two, but Tony takes it. And Tony said earlier on in the race he had nothing for Dario. He looks like he's got something now.
For Marco, anyway.
48 laps to go, and Tony Kanaan is in the lead.
Wow. That last pit stop, they made the right adjustment for Tony Kanaan.
He's probably thankful that his teammates are okay, but out of the race. They were having some problems racing each other. Now he could just focus on himself, focus on leading, and, you know, these three are going to duke it out.
This is the third consecutive race that Tony Kanaan has led this year. He led from the pole in the second Texas Twin race, and he led, of course, last week in Milwaukee for 33 laps before he crashed.
And I can promise you one thing about Tony. He'll remember how aggressively Marco passed him. He won't forget that. So that's
and Macario just got loose.
Wow, he really shot up toward the outside wall. Now Marco will look to the outside into turns 1 and 2. Great racing. 3 cars here. First, second, and third. And Dario now looks to the inside of Marco.
Ryan Briscoe is now starting to close in on the top 3 as Marco looks to the high side. So now a Penske car in 4th and closing.
Marco can't quite get alongside Tony enough to pin him down on the low line. That means that Tony can dictate where he wants to be on the racetrack. And then Marco looking inside. I think he's going to pull this off. Yes, he does. Great move by Marco.
Marco goes back to the lead. This is the first race that Marco has led this year. He led 6 races last year.
Marco definitely has a great race car in traffic. Is he quick enough out front? I'm just not sure about that yet, but right now he's holding off Tony.
And back here we have a side-by-side battle between Ryan Briscoe in 6 and Scott Dixon in number 9. Dixon is 4th. And again up front we have a battle for the lead. Kanaan trying to get it from Marco Andretti into turn number 3. Nope, not this time.
And Marco was nicer. He definitely gave Tony room. He could have come across the bow, but that's allowed for Dario to sneak up the inside of Tony. Can he get it?
Wow, and here comes Scott Dixon charging up on Franchitti.
Oh, and Franchitti almost gets in big trouble. And here comes, he's going to get passed by Dixon. And a move for the lead at the same time.
Oh, and Scott has passed Dario too.
Yeah. So don't count out Scott Dixon, who started back in 23rd position. Kanaan now has the lead once again from Marco Andretti.
And this is all happening at an average lap speed of about 177 miles an hour. How incredible is that?
And this is the kind of racing that we see at Texas in some of the 1.5 mile racetracks, and it's happening on the 7/8 mile oval at Iowa.
And you notice Tony has tightened up his line a little bit now. His car's obviously working well, but he's going to try and shorten that track distance, and that's going to make it a little bit harder for Tony. That their lap times will probably increase a little bit because they're not covering that same distance as well.
Five laps to go.
It's kind of calmed down a bit right now, but you're just waiting for Marco to attack again. And you can see he's able to run close, and he's probably going to have a good run here. Tony blocking a little bit, or hugging the inside, I should say, right now.
And we have another battle on the right side of your screen. Hinchcliffe and Patrick going for the 8th spot.
Ryan Hunter-Reay also going for that position.
Marco keeps trying to get to the outside. His car's obviously working well, but, you know, Tony has really tightened up his line.
Oh, Marco had to lift just a little bit. Kanaan maintains the advantage. The laps are counting down. You won't miss a thing on Versus Nonstop. Kanaan leading Andretti, Dixon, and Franchitti.
Football in July. Sky Sports HD. The SPL is back.
They are the champions. They are Rangers.
And we count down to the new Premier League season with the Barclays Asia Trophy, Blackburn, Villa, and Chelsea in action.
Quite sensational.
And the Dublin Super Cup with Inter, Celtic, and Man City.
Incredible!
Football in July. Sky Sports HD.
Hurry down to Halfords for the Carrera end of range sale. It's your last chance to buy with stocks going fast. That's helpful. That's Halfords.
If you think all vodka is the same, take a sip of our premium Russian vodka and think again. Russian Standard. Vodka as it should be.
Transformers, a video game out now at Sainsbury's.
The Iowa Corn Indy 250 presented by Pioneer on Versus is brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series, and by IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's.
Tony Kanaan won last year's race here at Iowa Speedway, and he has the lead again, but he's being challenged by Marco Andretti. That is EJ Viso that they get around the slower car. And traffic could very definitely play a factor here in the closing laps.
Oh, there was contact.
There was a touch.
EJ Viso contact. It didn't hit anything, but there was definitely side-to-side contact for Viso.
I'm assuming that must have been with Briscoe.
That creates a log jam and a battle for position back there. Briscoe, Hinchcliffe, Castro-Neves, Hunter Ray, all back there in that area.
Oh, it's because J.R. Hildebrand shot to the inside and tried to take them both.
Wow, that could have been big.
What a save for EJ Viso.
Yeah, that was a good save.
Back up front, we see Marco Andretti. Looking high, looking low, unable to do anything right now with Tony Kanaan.
Marco's working that high line, but he just can't draw alongside him enough, like I say, to pin Tony down. You see Tony as he goes up, he just moves up a little bit in one to make it more difficult for Marco. Tony's very, very sneaky. There's a couple of times he's crossed the bow of Marco's car and made Marco shoot up the track. You know, there's no love lost between these two. And Marco gets inside. It's a great move.
Wow,
fantastic.
He surprised him.
He's on the overtake. Almost locking wheels.
And Marco's not going to give him any room, and I think he's going to be able to complete the pass.
He's got the inside line, and
Marco's keeping him high.
That was a great bit of driving by Marco Andretti. He just waited and waited and just attacked at the perfect moment.
Meanwhile, Scott Dixon back there in third spot, not too far behind it. Here comes Kanaan again to the inside.
And why was Marco leaving the door open? I wanted to push him down the track. But, you know, this is allowing Scott Dixon to catch up too.
Tony's sister watching and praying for her brother.
And that's exactly what Scott has not been, and Dario have not been able to keep up with these two. So seeing that space now, he's going to be able to have a cleaner run behind Tony, pick up that draft, and hopefully for Marco, he'll be able to see those two dice it out. But I don't think we're done with Tony just yet. Now, if I was Michael Andretti, I'd be watching this and saying, Marco, get down. Don't give Tony the inside. Make it difficult for him, because when he can get alongside you, you know, that's right. When you're going to lose the spot.
But Marco may not be able to. This car may not want to stay down there.
Only 15 laps to go at Iowa. Marco Andretti leading Tony Kanaan by 0.2 of a second, about 5 car lengths. Let's get a medical update on several drivers. Back to Kevin Lee.
Bob, will start with Sebastian Saavedra. He is okay. He spent a little time because it was a heavy hit, and they wanted to check him out. The car was really good. He worked his way from last up to his highs about 12th, but he felt like something might have broke, so we'll check on that. Takuma Sato has been checked, cleared, and released. In fact, he's back out on pit road cheering on his teammate Tony Kanaan. And Will Power has been determined to have a mild concussion, so he will need to be cleared before he can race at Toronto.
That will be in 2 weeks. Once again, they passed by E.J. Viso. We got a glimpse there of a battle between James Hinchcliffe and Ryan Hunter-Reay. That was for 8th spot. Ryan Hunter-Reay has it. Hinchcliffe had to get out of the throttle. Meanwhile, laps are really clicking down now as we'll have 11 to go at the line.
Guys, you can see Marco leaves enough room for Tony to be able to kind of run flat out behind him, particularly in 3 and 4. In turns 1 and 2, Tony likes the high line, but it really enables him to get a run. Marco has 9 overtakes left to Tony's 7. This is going to kind of become a strategy. Honda have done a great job in spicing up the racing a little bit more, and this is going to spice it up.
Tony's on the button. Tony's on the button. He's burned one more of them.
And it's close between these two, and again they've broken away from Scott Dixon.
Oh, a good run now by Kanaan. Does he have room to the inside? Nope.
Wow, and that has really broken the momentum of Tony Kanaan. That may be the move of the race. Does he have enough time to regroup? Because here comes Dixon.
And I hate to say this. That was a little bit of payback, I think, Marco. You know, Tony chopped, crossed the bow, I should say, aggressively of Marco on a couple of occasions, and he probably remembered that. And that was maybe payback. And here's J.R. Hildebrand doing a great job in 4th, closing up on Scott Dixon, and Scott is closing up on Marco right now.
He has had a great race.
Tony, sorry.
Bon, évidemment, nous revenons en direct en français. Quelle fin de course extraordinaire, Tony Kanaan, Marco Andretti, Scott Dixon, Jerry Lebron, tout le monde se bagarre pour la victoire. Marco Andretti qui a pris l'option décisive, pour la victoire, bon, poussant un petit peu à Kanaan. Je veux dire, Kanaan était à l'intérieur, mais il a un peu tourné comme s'il n'était pas là. Il reste 6 tours à parcourir ici à l'Iowa Speedway. Marco Andretti en tête devant Tony Kanaan, Scott Dixon, Jerry Lebron, Dario Franchitti et Ryan Briscoe. Les 6 pilotes sont réunis quasi, mais Marco Andretti qui n'a plus gagné depuis sa première victoire en carrière, c'était en 2006 sur l'Infinity Raceway à Sonoma. Il n'a jamais gagné sur un ovale, il reste 5 tours. Ici à l'Iowa Speedway, Tony Kanaan qui a tout tenté, mais c'est vrai que là, il a dû ralentir énormément pour éviter de percuter Marco Andretti. Et donc là, c'est fini, je pense. Bagarre ici entre Ryan Briscoe et Dario Franchitti. Bon, regardez, ça va se bagarrer aussi pas mal ici. Franchitti, lui, il sait que Power a abandonné, donc il va un petit peu se calmer. Ils sont côté à côté. Oh, regardez Franchitti qui accélère extra magnifique, qui reste devant. À 4 tours, à 3 tours et demi maintenant de la fin. Les tours vont extrêmement vite ici à l'Iowa Speedway, moins de 18 secondes par tour, et Marco Andretti est à 3 tours du bonheur. Marco Andretti toujours en tête, 3 tours à faire devant Tony Kanaan. Peut-être qu'un retardataire pourrait venir jouer trouble fait, mais ça me semble compliqué. Il y a une grosse avance à Marco Andretti. Vous voyez le classement qui défile encore une fois. En d'autres écrans, on a eu des moments tellement chauds dans cette course. Je pense qu'on a l'une des plus belles courses de l'année, si pas la plus belle de l'année pour le moment. Parce que là, franchement, une course où on a tout eu, une bagarre de titan entre Tony Kanaan et Marco Andretti. Et c'est pas encore terminé. Jerry Lebron en 4ème position, énorme course également du rookie, le drapeau blanc est sorti, c'est le dernier tour pour Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, Scott Dixon, Jerry Lebron et les autres. Marco Andretti moins d'1 kilomètre maintenant pour aller chercher sa seconde victoire en carrière, sa première victoire sur un ovale. Tant de fois Marco Andretti était proche de la victoire, mon disait, mais il ne gagnera plus jamais, il ne confirmera jamais. Il l'a fait aujourd'hui, Marco Andretti s'impose à l'Iowa Speedway. Première victoire depuis 5 ans pour Marco Andretti. Tony Kanaan, Scott Dixon et Jerry Lebron et Dario Franchitti, le top 5, vous voyez le top 10 qui passe entre votre écran. Marco Andretti a enfin gagné. Il a enfin gagné une course depuis 2006. Voilà. 79 courses depuis sa dernière victoire, Marco Andretti qui s'impose. Et regardez son père Michael qui est très content évidemment. C'est également son stratégiste Michael Andretti. Et Marco Andretti là, qui va pouvoir enfin faire des donuts parce qu'il n'avait pas pu aller à ce domaine, il ne lui restait pas assez d'essence. Il avait gagné la victoire à la consommation et là Marco, il est passé tellement près, tellement de fois. Et bien enfin Marco Andretti remporte sa seconde victoire en IZOD IndyCar Series, sa première sur un ovale, sur l'Iowa Speedway. Et encore une fois, c'est sur l'Iowa Speedway qu'on a eu la domination Ganassi-Penske qui a été brisée. Et c'est 2 fois de suite Andretti Autosport qui s'impose. On va écouter Michael Andretti, papa. Et surtout patron d'écurie, bien entendu. Je n'ai pas de mots évidemment. Marco fait un super boulot à la fin. Je suis vraiment très fier de lui. C'est dur. Et enfin on est de retour. Enfin bon, oui, c'est pas la première fois qu'il dit on est de retour. Donc. Et on pensait, une fois qu'on pouvait rester avec Dario, on pensait qu'on pouvait gagner. Et puis une fois qu'on était avec Dario, on pensait vraiment qu'on pourrait gagner. Et enfin on l'a fait. Et je vais faire un parallèle avec la saison 2010. En 2010, Andretti Autosport a gagné 2 courses, Long Beach et l'Iowa. Et bien cette année ils ont gagné Long Beach et l'Iowa. Donc on espère pour eux qu'ils auront encore plusieurs victoires, dont au moins une pour une voiture vert fluo, mais ça c'est une autre histoire. Mais Marco Andretti va aller pour la seconde fois de sa carrière dans la Victory Lane. Rendez-vous compte, ça fait 4 ans et demi qu'il n'a plus gagné, hein, Marco Andretti, depuis ce jour de Sonoma. Il avait 19 ans à l'époque, c'était un rookie encore en IZOD IndyCar Series, alors qu'il ne sait pas trop aller. C'était un rookie et il avait remporté sa première course en 2006 à Sonoma, l'Infimo Racing. On va revoir ici le dépassement pour la victoire. Marco Andretti qui passait à l'intérieur de Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan qui a failli réaliser la passe de 2 et de 2 victoires de suite. Allez, basculer, ce qui aurait fait que Tony soit il se crachait, soit il finit premier, voilà, soit il se crache, soit il finit premier ou deuxième. Ça reste une excellente stat évidemment. Et Marco, mais je pense que le moment déterminant, surtout quand Marco Andretti bloque vraiment très fort Tony Kanaan, enfin tourne sans vraiment faire attention à Kanaan, je vais dire, ça aurait pu très mal se terminer. Et avec une victoire Dixon après, peut-être encore on va essayer de rentrer la voiture numéro 26. Le numéro 26 qui n'a plus gagné également évidemment depuis 4 ans et demi, Marco Andretti. Fils de Michael, petit-fils de Marco. Il a évidemment du sang, alors que oui, c'est mal mis. Enfin bon, on va pas le truc à regarder. Il est fou de voir regarder. Marco Andretti avec son père ici, évidemment. Bien regardé, Marco Andretti qui s'impose pour la seconde fois de sa carrière. 30 000 personnes qui hurlent de joie dans les tribunes, et je pense qu'ils en ont vraiment eu pour leur argent. Après une belle course d'Indy Lights, une excellente course d'IZOD IndyCar Series, avec la victoire de Marco Andretti. Enfin ils l'ont, cette seconde victoire, enfin il l'a, surtout Marco, cette seconde victoire. On va avoir évidemment l'interview du vainqueur, donc il enlève son casque, sa cagoule et son... Il est vraiment surexcité, Marco. Et on va... peut-être que Tony Kanaan viendra en petite visite dans la Victoria et se dire mais qu'est-ce que tu as fait? Il y a tous les ingénieurs qui sont là, évidemment. Ce team n'a plus gagné depuis 4 ans et demi, et enfin ils vont pouvoir célébrer une victoire. Et voilà Marco Andretti qui se lève, regardez la Victory Lane pour Marco Andretti. Alors quand est-ce que vous avez réalisé que ça peut être aujourd'hui que vous avez gagné? Je n'ai jamais douté. On sait que sur des grands ovales, tels que le Texas, on est un peu moins bon, mais ici on est très bon sur les petits ovales. Super boulot dans les stands, j'ai pris la tête grâce à ça. C'était très fun avec Tony Kanaan. Je dois vraiment remercier mon sponsor. J'adore tous ces gars, tous les sponsors. Enfin, ils le méritent. Alors, on va regarder ici, caméra marquée. Alors, comment vous avez pu rester dans Tony Kanaan en bloquant comme ça à la fin? J'avais des yeux derrière ma tête, on va dire, et j'avais vraiment besoin de cette victoire, me dit Marco Andretti. Regardez cette bagarre extraordinaire quand même. Il fallait vraiment rester à l'avant, aux avant-postes de la course. Je suis content qu'on n'ait pas pris vraiment un pari de reprendre un pit-stop. Une semaine après de perdre, c'est plutôt un beau cadeau. Et on a vu Tony Kanaan qui est rentré dans la Victoria. Malheureusement, on n'est pas plus loin. Donc merci à toutes et à tous de nous avoir suivis. Prochain rendez-vous dans 2 semaines à Toronto. Passez une agréable nuit. On se retrouvera dans les rues canadiennes de Toronto pour une autre course extraordinaire. À bientôt. Au revoir.
And he started 17th, so that's not a bad result for him, is it?